I have to say I'm going to miss that theme when the time comes. What's going on, everyone? Welcome, Goglings. Welcome, Gogorifics, Gog peoples of the world. I hope everyone is doing well and is excited for some of this Talisman adventures and, of course, some of this, Pen and Pixels. Welcome to episode 388 of Pen and Pixels. I am your host, Arvin Eleron, the show that focuses on story and narrative in games every Tuesday. But today is going to be focusing on the beginning of the end of one of these campaigns that we do, the Talisman Adventures campaign, and we will talk a little bit about that in just a bit. Before I get there, just a couple of reminders about ways to support us here on GogCom's Twitch channel. If you have not done so already, please follow us here on the channel. If you have not done so already, thank you, Go Bill. Yes, that is Peripheral Mike who put that together and did an incredible job with it, and you'll have a chance to hear more from Mike in just a bit. So please follow us here on GogCom. Please consider subscribing to us here on GogCom. You can get those custom sub badges and emotes to use here, there, and everywhere across Twitch, and it also, of course, supports the members of the stream team, so please consider doing that. That would be lovely. And please consider clicking through to our own individual channels, because we have our own individual channels and subsystems and stuff like that, and that would all be much appreciated as well. Now, I guess before I go any further, I should just quickly mention, next week I will be finishing the Bookwalker Thief of Tales. That'll be happening next week, and I will be starting earlier as a result of the fact that I have Shire Adventures going on my channel. So when we do Shire Adventures, I have to start later on the channel over there. So I have to go for roughly 4 p.m. until 7 p.m. Eastern over there, which means I'll be here earlier next Tuesday from 12 to 3 p.m. Eastern. That'll be the last Tuesday of August. We'll be finishing up Bookwalker Thief of Tales, after which I will be moving into the Solasta DLC, the final Solasta DLC in terms of video game stuff. And then we will have our usual Ghosts of Saltmarsh and Talisman Adventures and things like that. So I'll talk about that in just a bit. Yeah, the 400th PNP is November 14th. That's right. So I'm going to do that, but I do want to introduce everyone before we talk about what happens next. So I am going to unmute myself and apologize unreservedly to anyone I may have interrupted because I can't hear you. And then I'm going to unmute them. And last but certainly not least, head over to reveal to you the incredible crew of D&D with GOG, but in this case, it's not D&D. It is Talisman Adventures with GOG. The full crew is here. And also, by the way, if I may say, everyone has got this like purplish or greenish background thing going on. It's very cool. It's like very in line with the nightmares that you're all about to face. I mean, with the adventure that we're going to play that I'm sure will be totally normal. Before we go any further, I wanted to bring the folks in and introduce them, but I do want to mention to chat as a whole that this is going to be the beginning of the final adventure in Talisman Adventures called the Nightmare Invasion. I am sorry about that because we have really enjoyed this. However, Pegasus Spiele does not have the rights to the Talisman system anymore, which means they're not sponsoring it anymore, and also there are no new adventures coming out anymore. And so, having spoken about it with the players have made the decision that they would like to continue and increase, if anything, actually, Ghosts of Saltmarsh. So we're going to be doing Ghosts of Saltmarsh now. After Talisman Adventures concludes, we'll do Ghosts of Saltmarsh twice a month instead of the once a month we had before. Now, 3 of the 4 people are in both campaigns, so that obviously doesn't matter in that case. As far as Bruce is concerned, we don't know yet whether Bruce will be joining us. Depends on time frame and what Bruce feels about it. Bruce may join us, in which case all of the crew will be together, but if not, we will still have, of course, Inanda to join with Pyron and Saber and Mike as well. So that is what's going on. So this is the beginning of it, but this last adventure is a doozy. It is a doozy, so it is going to be I hope, fitting conclusion to the adventures that we have had from the Talisman crew. So I am very excited about that. And with no further ado, I want to say hello, first of all, to Pyron Jade, of course. It is good to see you, Pyron. Pyron has got the most green of the bluish and green things today. We got the green background. How are you, Pyron? How is life in the universe with you? And who are you playing today?
Hello. Did everybody except for me know about League Spin?
League Spin. No,
maybe it's a British thing or something, because I didn't know about League Spin. But the weird thing about this background is you can't see it, but I've got like all my hair here, and it's invisible.
It's been sucked in by the background. Hair.
Yeah, I've got like invisible. It's really weird. Okay, yeah, Universe and me, we're still like in the same place more or less, so that's all good. I am playing Regina Augusta III tonight, a tiny, angry warrior sprite who likes to fight, drink, and threaten trees. Thank you.
That is right. And also has as of well, actually, I will check in with the players about health in just a minute. Okay, so that sounds good. Happy to have Regina back with us. Regina having returned to the city, so it'll be interesting to see what Regina thinks about that, along with what Reginald thinks about a return to the city. As we'll discuss why Reginald is back in town, but we'll discuss that in a minute. I'm really trying hard not to start breaking into a song of "The Boys Are Back in Town." I'm trying not to do that. Reginald, how is life with you, specifically Darksaber 2K? First of all, thank you as always, my friend, for the Move-Out and dashboard and so on. How are you? How was Bloodstock and all that good stuff? And who are you playing today?
Well, Bloodstock was excellent as always. I was saying to you earlier and other folks, the band dressed as a flamingos makes for a memorable night, very definitely. And they were all out. They had like flamingo hats and big pink bright capes, and they're running around making sure they're all flapping as they're running.
Yep.
Yeah, it was a good time. They were called Trollfest, if anyone's interested in them, and they call themselves Troll Metal.
Okay, fair enough. I mean,
And we also had we had Pirate Symphonic Metal with Visions of Atlantis as well, and I could go on and go on and on, but I'm here to do some role playing. Because Baldur's Gate 3 is not quite scratching that itch, you know. It's they half-assed it, so I'm here for the real thing.
Yeah, apparently. Good Lord. It's amazing I have any of my friends at the moment right now instead of being like, no, I can't do anything. I'm playing Baldur's Gate 3.
Yeah. But tonight I will not be playing Baldur's Gate 3. I'll be playing Reginald Shoon, a ghoul druid who is finally returning. Haven't done the voice in a while. But yes, he's returning to. I'll work on it. But for now, he's returning to the city where he'll be returning to probably check out the state of his grave. Hopefully, the hirelings he's left to maintain the place in his absence haven't run off with another talisman from another grave. And he's also quite keen because it basically functions as his personal little grove as well, since he is a druid. So it's a place where nature and balance is sort of where better outside of a forest than a graveyard is the forces of nature at display.
That's right. It takes a graveyard really to raise a city or whatever. What is going on with my mouse? I've had trouble. I'm trying to like drag stuff and my mouse does not want to deal with it, and it's a pain in the butt. Anyway, I apologize. That has nothing to do with anything. It's just my frustration that's been going on for the last few days, and I don't understand why. This mouse is broken. Sorry, that had nothing to do with what you said. I apologize, Saber. Yes, I am very excited to hear what Reginald has to say about this return to the grave in the cemetery, and we will discuss that because I'm actually going to be coming to each of the characters to ask about what they're doing when they have returned to the city before the events unfold that we're about to describe. So I'm giving you all a heads up to be thinking a little bit about that. As you were thinking about that, I'm going to head on down the step to the amazing Peripheral Mike, who has also got probably the brightest of theme of sort of bluish white themes there. Like if I were to put them there, I feel like Pyron's the green baseline and Saber's the blue baseline, and then Bruce and Mike are both sort of like in some kind of a slightly muted version. Yeah, exactly. So Mike, how are you? How is life in the universe for you? And who are you playing in our game tonight?
I am doing really, really well. I've been having some serious back issues over the last few weeks. People in chat may be aware of this if they've been watching my streams, and I've been very uncomfortable. Even I think it was our last D&D session. I can't remember. I was on some pretty heavy painkillers. I had to like raise my desk up and stuff like that, and like move around during the session. It was a bit of a nightmare. But that's all sorted now. I've been doing all of my exercises. I've been getting all the rest and recuperation that I need, so I feel mostly recovered, and I'm so excited for it, which means I can physically move again, which is lovely. Speaking of moving, we're going to be moving towards the city as I play Lump, our world walking troll warrior, who isn't the biggest fan of the city for some reasons that I'll delve into shortly, but he's excited to see how the city has changed since he last went there. So we'll see how all of that unfolds.
I am excited for that. Come on, mouse, so I can move this over in the right place. Okay, good. I am excited for that. I'm excited to see how when you started saying World War, I was thinking you're going to be like the World War II veteran troll. I'm like, wow, I didn't. These were a part of the backstory I did not know that Lump had. But I am excited
He's
to
seen some
have.
things, man.
Yeah,
He's
no,
seen
he
some
said it's
things.
that thousand wart stare of the troll. Anyway, it is a great pleasure as always to have Mike with us, and should be noted, by the way, who is it that mentioned this? Let's see, where is it? It was Goat Bill who talked about how amazing the title sequence is. So Mike, who you just heard from, is responsible for having
You are
put that
welcome.
title sequence together. So, so that's pretty awesome, and that's going to have to happen. You know, if it is true that Bruce does end up joining us, then that will be then Mike will have to be doing another video to update the one that we have over in Ghosts of Saltmarsh. So we'll
I'd
have to
love
do
it.
that.
I genuinely love it.
That probably would be that would be close to, by the time Bruce did get involved, if so, that would be no, it's about a third of the way. But it could, my point is it could be like a mid-season, so to speak, refresh, where you're just like,
Yeah.
here's the new video sequences. So
It's
anyway,
not the first time we've done it.
that's correct. Yeah, Mike has done amazing video work for stuff for me over on my channel as well. So you should hire Mike and Peripheral Media for all the things. Anyway, always a pleasure to have Mike with us. And last but certainly not least, of course, with the powerful glow of the light behind, illuminating everything with the full-out halo effect, is, of course, Undeveloped Bruce. Good to see you, Bruce. I hope all is well, he said, with things. I hope you're hanging in there. And how is everything with you, and who are you playing today?
Hello. Yep. I am doing all right. Thank you. Well, not really. I've got my headphones in this weird way I was saying earlier because I've got like a double ear infection.
I didn't want to call you out, but I didn't
um,
want to be like, how's everything going? It's like,
yeah, how are your ears? So if you notice, I'm going to be slightly less animated today because making sudden movements hurts and I can't wear my headphones over my ears. But I'm just so excited and I really love playing Talisman with you all, and there's nothing that would keep me away. Ow. And also my dogs are doing great. Morg had a medical emergency a couple of weeks ago, and but she's all right. Everything's okay. And she's doing much better now, and there's not going to be any like ongoing issues about it. It's all done. But she's been absolutely spoiled rotten. And I just wanted to give you a dog update because I know that that's what you're really asking for when
I mean,
you
listen,
ask how I am.
I think the totality of the Bruce experience means I want to know how the dogs are doing too.
Yeah. And today I am playing Hwedl Weds Cragman, who is a cragborn minstrel, dwarven minstrel. And he notably plays the Kruth, which is a type of bowed lyre, not to be confused with a lute or something like that. Not telling you for any particular reason, because only an absolute bellend would mix those two types of musical instruments up. And yeah, he's going to be glad to be back in the city and meeting up with his dwarven scholars. But we can talk about that now in a minute, as we say in Wales.
I am excited to hear about these dwarven scholars. Yes, I had a suspicion that this would be part of the tale of Hwedl as we move into back into the city. And I should say that, of course, we started with Reginald and Regina and not Lump, but the first character that Mike played. And so Lump is coming to the city for the first time, and we'll have to find out. Actually, well, I'll have to find out if Lump is coming to the city for the first time. I'm going to find out from him in a minute. Same thing with Hwedl, that this may be a little bit of a different experience in the return to talking to some of these dwarven scholars. So we will find out about all that. Before I fire up the sound effects and all that kind of good stuff, and we talk about the city, I do want to just double check on health for everybody. First of all, just to note for all that I have 4 of these handy little Dark Fate, tokens. Just want everyone to make sure that we're clear on that. Just in case. I can't imagine that in the Nightmare Invasion there would be anything that would involve Dark Fate, but with Reginald Shoon. Reginald, I have you right now you're fully refreshed, so you are at 25 out of 25 life.
Mm-hmm.
I have you right now now this is important because the one thing that doesn't necessarily refresh is 0 out of 2 life for the Peddler's Cloak. So I'm going to guess that you used one of your charges Yeah, to put. Okay, so you still don't know how many charges it has left, but 2 out of 2 life for the Peddler's Cloak. That is something I should mention, by the way, Reginald. If you decide that you want to try to find that out, you might be able to track down someone who could help you with this in the city. That's up to you. You don't have to. I'm just letting you know that's an option. Okay, and then you're going to have 7 spell points, I believe. And then is it 2 out of 8 light fate for you?
Yes. And 3 out of 3 armor as well.
And 3 out of 3 armor. When did we get the... Where did I put the armor? I don't know. Was that new? Why do I not?
No,
have
I've always
armor?
it's basic leather armor. But it never helps.
That's right.
I take it
right, because
so
you're always.
big.
That's why.
Yeah.
I literally was like, why don't I have this for you? Okay, great. Okay, that's fine. And then you have also had a chance to recover from your -3 psychic combat situation, by the way. So you are back to normal with that. Okay, good. Lump, I have you at 30 out of 30 life now, since you're back up to max. 12 out of 12 armor. I believe that you only have 1 out of 7 light fate. If that's not, am I not mistaken about that? Okay. Now,
true. That's true. 1 out of 7.
1 out of 7. Now, I had you at -2 psychic combat, but I'm wondering, I don't know if that's because of I don't think that's the helm. I think the helm is -2 notice. And I think the -2 psychic combat was because of other stuff that you received, which means that now is also refreshed. So you are no longer laboring under that problem. So 30 out of 30 life, 12 out of 12 armor, 1 out of 7 light fate.
I no longer have the helm, by the way.
Right. Yep. I have that. Yeah. The helm was destroyed.
So that's
sadly.
Smashed. I do have the Myrmidon helm, but I haven't had a look at that properly.
Okay. The Hweddle, for you, I had you at, it's amazing how injured everyone was last time. 32 out of 32 life. And I have you at, do you have 2 to start or 3 light fate to start with normally? Because I think it's 2, but.
I have the one that gives you the extra.
So that would be probably 2 then.
Fate smile 2. Yeah, 2.
Okay. All right. And then you have 6 out of 6 spell points now.
I have my total spell points as 8.
Oh, okay. That's possible that I didn't attach. Okay, so 8 out of 8. Yeah, that's possible. From level 5. Okay. Yep. All right. And then we have Regina Augusta III, who was at 1 out of 30 life, is now at 30 out of 30 life.
Yes.
12 out of 12 armor. Again, that's been restored. You have 2 out of 8 light fate to start with,
Yes.
I think? Okay. Okay. So you're good for that. And then the last thing is you have, of course, Boots the dog has returned. There was a big sort of process about that. Now, I did want to also ask very quickly about your barmaid follower / companion, because there was some discussion about whether she had left at a certain point because she was frustrated about what was going on with the party. You could try to track her down. And there's no negative to you other than at the moment she's not really a follower, but you could try to get her back if you chose to do that. And we'd have to think about how that plays out. She might not come back immediately, but that's up to whether all of you want to pursue having her as a follower again. Last adventure was a lot. There was a lot that happened in that campaign, so it's kind of understandable that she was just like, what the hell with this. But I'm just letting you know that is a thing that's out there. Yeah. She has returned to her inn. Okay. And I have 4 to 4 dark fate.
Unless anyone else is like, no, we have to save her. I'm just like, Lump's like, well, I tried.
Any thoughts from the rest of the party about that?
No. I don't think Reginald had a single meaningful interaction with us, so he's just like, okay.
I mean, it was all about Boots was the real follower you were all really trying to get. That's
we were very focused on Boots.
Yes.
From Regina's point, not enough bar, too much maid, so not really interesting.
Fair enough.
Didn't come with their own bar.
Bar. Okay. Well, so I'm going to fire up the music, and then I am going to ask what everyone is doing in town to begin with, as you have returned to the city leading up to this event. And I will say only, that we are leading up to a big event in the city that is known as the Festival of Strangers. And you have all been drawn back to the city for various reasons that I'm going to ask you about momentarily. Obviously, you're still in touch with each other as well. But I want to ask each of you in turn. Let me get some stuff going here. It should be... Nope. Wrong kind of city. I started listening, immediately started hearing cars. I'm like, no. That's not going to get it done. All right.
Wow, this is really advanced.
It's a super advanced city. Okay, there we go. We've got that, and I'm going to add some more. Okay, as I am getting more city work put together, let's go with this as well. And that should... Yes, perfect. Good, lovely. All right, perfect. Now we're set to go. So, I want to ask in turn, and I'll start with Regina. Regina, what are you doing back in the city? Have you been have you decided to stick around for any particular reason besides the fact that your friends are here? What do you think has brought and kept Regina back to the city over the last, I would say, about 2 to 3 weeks has passed since the events previously described in the campaign?
Regina wouldn't really know where else to go. Also, the city does have has a much higher concentration of taverns and inns than the countryside.
True.
So
very true.
Also, yes, her friends are there, and so Regina will have been in a lot of taverns and inns because you need to check that the density is still correct. Maybe the occasional tavern brawl, checking in on her friends, sometimes sober, sometimes very drunk, often trying to get them to go to the taverns and inns with herself, and just enjoying the city life as she did before she tried to take a shortcut across a graveyard a long time ago.
Have any of your friends joined you? I know you've said you've tried, and they can answer for themselves. Reginald, Lump, or Weddle, have any of you joined with Regina during these, hey, come to this bar with me thing? Weddle's like, nope.
Lump definitely would have.
No, Reginald would be quite pressing on checking on his graveyard at this point when he's this close to it now.
That's fair enough. There was a little bit of work to be done. So Lump and Regina hanging out, in the place. I'm going to come to Lump because we do have an issue we'll have to address with Lump and the city, but we'll come to that in a bit. Okay, so Regina is basically hanging out and doing the constant pub crawl. Like, I think it's just a 2-week pub crawl using some of the money and winnings and things like that you've gotten from your adventures. And so,
but like I said, sometimes she knows where Reginald lives or exists, and so she just sometimes in the evening comes up, you know what I did today, and then just falls asleep, and stuff like that. So she's like the worst friend you can have, like the one that always wants to have fun and doesn't understand that other people have duties. Mm-hmm. And stuff like that.
Yeah,
on at least one occasion, I may have used Gust of Wind to just roll her outside of the graveyard gate,
pretending not to notice her when, right? Like we're just like,
no, I'm busy.
Hey! That is very funny. I'm gonna come back to that. Okay. So let me ask then about. Actually, you know what? Then I'm going to jump over to Lump. I am going to mention, by the way, that one of the taverns, Regina, that you have gone to, there is a tavern across the street from a place called the Bountiful Harvest, and the Bountiful Harvest. Is basically a place that is a, how do I describe this? It's basically a tavern that is constantly excited, and it's the kind of thing you like, right? It's lots of things always happening. And the person who manages it, there are two. One of them is called Mags Morbier, who is the proprietor of the Bountiful Harvest. She has this fiery red-orange hair, and she has a wooden foot and lower leg because of a grievous wound. She was a bounty hunter, and she was too young to face retirement, and so she has opened a tavern that largely caters to the bounty hunter center population in the city. And she's found great success and popularity there, and it's probably one of the reasons that you may enjoy hanging out there, is there are a lot of fighters, Regina, who like to tell stories all the time about the fights they got into. It's very rough and ready. You mentioned Tavern Brawl, which is what made me think about it. It's pretty much it's an off night when there isn't a Tavern Brawl at the Bountiful Harvest. Like, there's always someone. In fact, all of the tables have been specially reconfigured so as to be special breakaway tables, so that when you slam into them, like, they just automatically, the legs pop out instead of breaking every time. Saves considerable
Very
amount of funds.
satisfying.
Yeah, it saves amount of resources and all that. And a lot of her regulars, Megs, you got nothing on it. Oh, look, the fiery haired wench and blah, blah, blah. So they all like to, and she gives as good as she gets. But they don't actually ever cross her. That's a very bad idea. To cross Megs is a good way to ended up not just in the street, but in the river that passes by the city, and perhaps never to be seen again as you pass out through the docks through the city as well. Megs is not someone to be messed with. So you've had a chance to spend some time with Megs, and right across the way is a tavern that's across the street, which is much more relaxed. And the reason you know this is because there was one time, the first time you were there, that you were thrown out of the Bountiful Harvest for reasons we described, that I mentioned. Like, you got a little drunk and there was a fight, and, you weren't well known enough yet. So you went across and drowned your sorrows with Gruden Tankersley, who runs another tavern across the way, which is known as Bar the Gate. And this is a guy who runs a very orderly, peaceful establishment. And it's literally exactly why he built it this way, because he knows that people who get kicked out of the Bountiful Harvest will have to go into his place if they want to drink anywhere without having to wander several blocks down the street. And I mean, who wants to do that, right? So if you want to stay in the area, you go across the street to the Bar the Gate Tavern, where there is no fighting ever to be had. And usually by the time people get kicked out of the Bountiful Harvest, they've had the fighting basically beaten out of them at that point, and they're just like, I just want a place where I can drown my sorrows. So completely different kind of person from Megs, although Megs and Gruden are friends with each other, but completely different personalities. So you, Regina, have spent some time with both Megs and with Gruden, and many others, but these are probably two of your favorites, I would say. And so the question that I have for Lump here is, I'm curious about Lump. I know you've been spending a fair bit of time with Regina, just sort of hanging out in these places. I'm curious, one, which one of these places you spend more time in, and then two, very importantly, Lump, you're a troll, and you do have a little bit of a reputation that might be concerning within the city. And so I'm wondering a bit about how you have chosen to, in quotes, blend in, because that's easy for a troll, and which tavern you spent more time in. Regina, probably, it's up to you, Regina, which one you spend more time in, the Bountiful Harvest or the Bar the Gate. Which one of those is the one that you spend the most time in, but it's up to Lump as to decide where he wants to go as well in those taverns.
Cool. So, yeah, even though Lump is a world walker, and that means that humans and city folk are actually nicer to him than most trolls. They actually accept him more than most trolls. They mechanically they react higher on the attitude chart, so they're not immediately like troll. They're like troll. Mm-hmm. It's more indifference rather than disdain. So he spends a lot of his time in the Bountiful Harvest because that's one of the few places he could find work when he first came to the city. He's reasonably on good speaking terms with Mags. He hasn't had too many dealings with Gruden, because he hasn't really been thrown out of the Bountiful Harvest because he's massive. So basically it was a case of giving him 3 more beers and he'll pass out. So they gave him 3 more beers and he passed out. But he's pretty known for his arm wrestling contests. Okay. Generally because people like to go, I bet I could arm wrestle that troll. And then they go, I definitely can't arm wrestle a troll who uses his fists as his primary weapons. Can I please go and drink at the Bar the Gate instead? But mainly, to cut a reasonably long story short, Lump came to the city desperate to seek work that would, in his own words, help put things right. And Mags said, well, there's some bad guys around that need capturing. There's some bad guys that need taking in. So he worked exclusively for Mags for a long time to try and do that.
That's fair enough. I'm wondering if there's any lingering resentment on Regina's part that Lump has not yet been thrown out by Mags, whereas Regina has only once been thrown out. I mean, you've gone out, Regina, while fighting other people, but that was of your own free will, you know? Like, I'm just curious if if there's any lingering resentment that Lump has not been thrown out of the Bountiful Harvest or not.
No, Lump is a friend. Regina respects him nevertheless.
Okay. Fair enough. So Lump's had a chance to do that. And Regina, would you say you've spent more time in the Bountiful Harvest or in the Bar the Gate?
That depends a bit. I mean, if Regina can be slightly paranoid sometimes, so if she thinks there are some headhunters there that might be sent from her family or something, she might just go over to the Bar the Gate. But I think overall she feels more at home at the Bountiful Harvest, and she will never try to make a rhyme out of Meg and Peg Leg again.
Yeah, that didn't go over very well. That's I assumed as much, but I was curious. Okay, so now we have a sense of where Regina and Lump are. I want to talk to Hweddle, and then I'll come back to Reginald, because I know the most about where Reginald's going to be based on what's been described. So Hweddle, you mentioned these dwarven scholars. Can you tell me more about what you've been doing in the city for the last 3 weeks or so?
Yeah. So Hweddle, initially when he left the Crags, went to the city to train as a scholar, but he thought it was useless. You know, nobody listens to the scholars. They just listen to the elves and the law keepers and their book and the wizard man. Yep. So he decided that, you know, he was going to become a true history educator, fighting fake news with song, which is, you know, a medium that everyone listens to. And that's how he became a minstrel. But he's, you know, his passion is still to help prove that the dwarves were the ones to create the talismans and to do all these miracles with hard work and labor and sweat that people are attributing to some magic man. So he's come back to the city after he's seen with his own eyes and held in his hands two real talismans. And so he's, you know, he had the relief rubbings of the coin that he did. And he's also, because he's got the painting, the artisan skill with a focus in painting, he sort of painted illustrations of the talismans and, you know, their effects and different things. He's just taking everything that he's gathered and knows about the talismans from these 2 adventures we've had and taking them all back to the dwarven scholars to kind of study and work out how we can, you know, wrangle this to prove that it was definitely the dwarves that created these.
Then I have a follow-up for you. There are 3 people that the dwarven scholars have also recommended about people that you could contact to get more information about this very thing that you're researching. So 3 people that you could consider, and I want you to tell me which one you think would be most likely, excuse me, for Hweddle to take a look at. The first is a person who is known only as Professor Tom. He is an enigmatic resident of the academy, and he spends most of the time in the library or his chambers or in one of the insulated underground laboratory chambers that it is rumored that he has. He rarely takes on students, and those that he does instruct are usually reluctant to divulge details about what it is that they've learned. It is true that sometimes this person, Professor Tom, will send out adventurers to track things down, but one of the things that's interesting to you about Professor Tom, or that's interesting to the scholars, I should say, is the fact that he has quite a bit of magical knowledge, although it's unclear as to where he got this knowledge or for whom he uses it to benefit. That is to say, it's not, you know, who his employers are, you're not 100% sure. And he's just kind of like one of these legendary figures that no one even really, he's kind of an independent scholar. Like, he's not really a professor at the academy. He's just sort of there, and he somehow got an office. And if anyone thinks that this is just a fantasy realm, you've never spent enough time on a university campus, because I'm here to tell you there are people just like that. So that's one option that's available to you. Second person that the scholars recommend is a guy named Old Dewey, who is the Academy librarian, who is jokingly said to be as old as the Academy itself. He's very sweet and gentle and a little bumbling, but he can find any book or scroll or miscellaneous reference material among the labyrinthine shelves. Like, he is the Google search of Talisman Adventures, okay? Before Google search started to suck. He is the actual functional Google search of Talisman Adventures. He knows everything there is to know about the lore that the Academy possesses. And of course, the Academy has been around for quite a long time. And it is said even the Great Wizard contributed some stuff to the library. So that's old Dewey. And the last one is this strange one that is the most speculative. And this is the one that the scholars are kind of like, they don't know if this is someone you're going to want to follow. But there is a person who is an eccentric, washed-up wizard who is known as Kalsari Canny. And there was supposedly a time when this guy was one of the greatest wizards, like almost could rival the great wizard himself. But something happened to him, and now he basically spends his time raving about things that he's seen that man is not meant to know. So he spends pretty much every day and night alone, drunk, and clothed in nothing but his underpants. So to the locals, he's just kind of this neighborhood fixture, the sort of the town drunk type of figure. And the Dwarven scholars are like, he may know something, or you may be wasting your time completely. And it's not clear that if you spent time with him, you'd have to get him cleaned up first before you could get anything out of him anyway. But maybe he might have information that you would provide, so that he could provide you. Maybe. So you've got him, you've got Kalsari Kani, the fallen master wizard. You've got old Dewey, the Academy librarian, and you have Professor Tom. And I'm curious which of these three are the ones, because you probably don't have time to go to all of them. Which of these three do you think you'd spend your time with?
Yeah, sorry, just to clarify now. So I've gone out, I've done all this stuff, I've got these materials together from my travels with the talismans.
Yeah.
I've brought them back, handed them off to the scholars, and the scholars are now telling me to go and do more blinking
No, in fairness, they are not telling you this. They have already gotten a ton of information and are working on it feverishly. But they have asked you because you are so good at gathering information, they say, they have asked you whether you would be willing to gather a little bit more in terms of possible connections. But no, to be clear, this is not something you're being required to do. In fact, right now they are poring over your notes and scrolls and maybe trying to figure out your handwriting at times. But they actually interviewed you for hours when you first came to talk to them. So
all right, that's fine. I just Yeah. All right. Well, let's see. Hweddle is somebody, he wants people to know the truth. And he knows what it's like when you're telling people the truth and you're going around and you're spreading the truth of the world and people just don't believe you. And you can just see in their eyes that they think that you're wrong. He's not going to go to Professor Tom, who doesn't even try to tell people about the truth. He's probably not going to the librarian, who, doesn't go out there and try really, although does invite, I guess it is a middle ground. Like, if you go to the librarian, you get the answers. Mm-hmm. So out of those three, he's probably going to go for the one who's actually making an effort, misguided as it is, to actually spread the truth and actually actively take part in, spreading information. So yeah, Underpants Man, please.
Underpants Man. Okay, we are going to talk about the impact of that. I will come back to that in a minute. Last but certainly not least, Reginald, what have you been doing? Although you've explained some of it already, but can you specify particular things you might have been doing at the graveyard and the environs since you arriving back in the city?
He's been inspecting it, making sure that pre-arranged hirelings who do help around the place have been maintaining it as per instructions. Then he's going to go in and unlock his little work area where there's like the body preparation area and a kind of not quite backstreet morgue, but sometimes people do seek him out for his disease knowledge, and he can perform examinations there.
Okay. that sounds.
So he's giving that area like a good old scrub. Relocate the spiders somewhere where they can hunt a bit better, get some fresh air.
Yep. Yeah, and actually the hirelings seem to have done a decent job, and in fact, you feel very much sort of well at home, Reginald. Boots is, in his accustomed place, going around and helping herd the spirits when they get a little bit out of their crypts and all this stuff, and all the stuff that Boots is super good at. Everything feels very, normal, and not in any way setting up for something which may be a problem down the line. Everything feels very much that way. So I want to, I would say, just before we talk about this festival that I'm going to mention, there is a buzz in the air that all of you can hear and feel, this kind of palpable excitement about the beginning of this Festival of Strangers. And the Festival of Strangers, I should point out, which is quite old, is a festival in which every interaction with a stranger is expected to involve the exchange of minor gifts. So it's expected that when you run into someone that you don't know, you're supposed to give little gifts to them. And these are, when I say minor gifts, I mean, I'm emphasizing minor, like, a feather or, a hairbrush or something like that. So not actually asking you to hand over magical weapons and cloaks and things like that, because they sure as hell won't be handing them over to you. But little tokens and things like that. And so this exchange of minor gifts is going to be important as a part of how this is approached. And I want to sort of zoom the camera here in on Hweddle, who is at the moment talking with a very strange looking man, the strange looking man that I have previously described. Now, I do have a picture which I will show you. I wish I had a picture that I could actually show you from a PDF, but the PDFs no longer exist because, again, Pegasus doesn't own this stuff anymore. So I have only the hard copy, but that is okay. And I'm going to try to show, if I can, just... There we go. Perfect. So there's the guy, underwear and all, that you can see. And Hweddle, you were down on one end of the alley, and as we see Hweddle, you're actually literally staring at this person who is face down in the water of the trickling water. It's rained recently, and so there's a little bit of sort of runoff rainwater going down the street. And occasionally he sort of is waving an arm at you, and I'm wondering what Hweddle is doing at this moment as he's lying down.
Is it clear that this is Underpants Man?
Yes, this is his usual state. In fact, you were directed here by people who were like, you can find him down there, the old sot, that type of thing. So. Excellent.
Well, yeah, Hweddle's gonna approach cautiously. You right there, mate?
Sergeant, the city time ago. Oh, the city is the time that I live. Ooh. Like, that's it. Paying no attention, just still face down.
Yeah, no, it's a beautiful song. So he just doesn't seem to be really with it at all. This is where having Lump around would be really useful.
Yes.
Can
Several
Hweddle,
empty bottles by him, Hweddle, I should say, as well.
Is there any half-empty bottle or...
No, they all look pretty empty to you. They're all rolled around next to him. In fact, he has one of them on his back, just sort of like lying there, rolling back and forth.
Right, well, Hweddle's going to go and grab a new bottle from a nearby establishment,
okay,
and come back and sort of wave it in front of the man's face.
Well, he's face down in the street right now, so you'd have to
lift his head up.
When you let it go. The hill beauty, my beauty with the raiders from Bloodraven 40K. Ooh. And it takes a minute, probably, Hweddle, as you're watching, and then he kind of I smell something. What's up there? I smell things. Don't I?
Hweddle Hweddle doesn't. Hweddle really wants to draw the man away and to an establishment where he can get cleaned up and possibly locked in a room until he's sober. He doesn't really want to touch the man.
Yeah, that seems like a good idea. There is indeed a 5-foot aura, and it's not a magical aura, if you know what I'm saying, around the guy.
Yeah. I don't know. Hweddle might at this point, if he can't get the man going.
Out the barrel.
I haven't got a barrel, mate, but I got a bottle. There's more bottles. Oh.
You should give those to the drunkards.
I should, shouldn't I?
Drunkards.
Come on, this way. Up you get. Come on. Upsy daisy. Up you getty.
So he flips over. Dirty water splashes up from his hand as he kind of hits it. And just leave it here on the desk. I'll take care of it at closing time. Closing time. One more call for alcohol.
Maybe Hweddle will change tactics. I heard that you're a man to talk to about wizards and talismans.
Wizards? There's no such thing as a wizard. Wizards are not real. They're like...
I know, thank you.
Fairies.
That's what I've been saying this entire blinking time.
Not right. Since the Great Wizard, there haven't been any. Woo! Oh, man. Why do you... wizards are dumb. They're dumb like my thumb.
We're gonna get along so well. I agree with 90% of what you're saying. I come on. If you come along with me, you know, your drunk friend, not you yourself. You're clearly a lucid and intelligent man, but your drunk friend, if
name's not Lucy.
No. What is your name again?
My name is Connie Carnival. It's kinda cootie boo bo hee woo. That you're not sure you have ever seen someone quite this drunk and still functionally awake, Hweddle. If you can call this functional.
I think at this point, Hweddle would like to go and find this very good friend, Lump.
Yeah, you're not that far, actually, from the Bar the Gate Tavern and from the Bountiful Harvest across the street.
Right. I'd like to go and find Lump and employ Lump to pick up a drunk man and put him in some soapy water for me. Lump, I'll pay you 1 gold.
So I like to think Weddle finds me in the Bountiful Harvest. There's a bit of a ruckus going on because I'm in the middle of an arm wrestling contest, and I start having a conversation with Weddle, and I'm just carrying on with the arm wrestling, and the guy's like, I don't even think he's paying attention. This guy's putting all of his effort into this arm wrestle, and I'm just like, what? Gold. Oh, okay. Just slams the guy's arm down on the table. Right, gotta go. And then gets up from the table and follows Weds to the drunken man in the street.
When you come across, there's a moment of horror when you first arrive there, Hweddle, in that you think the guy may have vanished, and then you realize that in fact what he's done is managed to roll his thin body so close to the curb and is so himself dirty that it actually blends in with the curbside. Oh, so for a minute you're like, wait, and it's actually, you hear him first because he's wizard fighting skills, spells, zap, stars, zap, zap, zap. So both you and Lump hear this.
Yeah,
Gold
he's
first.
just been like that. Oh, don't be like that. We're mates. When have I ever not paid you? Well, apart from that 2 times. 2 times out of 5. Right, fair enough. Digging around. Gives Lump 1 piece of gold.
There be
Takes a piece of gold,
gold.
is like,
Oh.
all right, where are we
You
going?
better be careful putting coins in your mouth. Terrible things can happen.
So, God soap.
Have I? Where am I staying?
That's a good question. You definitely could stay. I mean, I assume that you were staying at least first with the Dwarven Scholars. But there are numerous places that you have enough money based upon your previous adventures and so on. You could be staying perhaps at the 6 Fates Inn, which is a very popular inn. You could be staying at that place. You could be staying in the wharves if you were trying to save some extra money. It's kind of rough and ready, but you know. Or you could possibly be staying theoretically with one of the Dwarven Scholars who has an extra room that certainly would be willing to let you use.
Yeah, probably staying with a Dwarven Scholar.
Okay.
Do they have a bath tub?
It's a communal bath for the 2 or 3 people who live there. But if you want to bring it into the apartment with your roommates, you certainly could do that.
Yeah, it's fine. I got a big troll with me. No one's gonna stop me.
This is reminding me too much of my senior year of college. Not me personally, to be clear, since I don't drink. I was the person doing that, bringing in the drunk person. Anyway, so you're able to bring them back. So Lump, are you gonna now? This guy is just very thin and incredibly dirty and quite an ascent. I think is fair to say. So are you just like chucking him over your shoulder, or what do you?
Yeah, he'll pull him up by his underpants at first, and then just hook him over his shoulder like a sticky sack of potatoes.
Okay, and you do that, and as he hits your.
Yeah. I would like to say maybe about halfway to wherever we're going, the smell gets so bad, I just decide to dump him in the nearest horse trough. Just a few times, just to rinse him off first.
Guys, I'll zap you with my zappity zap. There's that bottle. You said there was a bottle or something, someone said?
Should have asked for 2 gold.
We got the bottle after bath. Have you never heard that? My mum said it to me all the time. You can't have the bottle till you've had a bath.
Your mom?
My mum.
My mommy isn't here anymore. I haven't seen my mommy for 130 years.
It's all right.
He begins to roar with crying. Like, just people look around, you know. Like,
Lum just looks over at Wes. He's like, wanted to keep low profile.
My mom's name was Lois. Low profile is.
All right, let's go. Rushing on to the scholar's house. Get him into the communal bath.
I'm gonna rush, but
if I hear that commotion in the street, I would like to follow them because that could look like fun.
I had you in mind, Regina. I think you can hear this from like 6 streets around, probably. It is quite loud and quite definitive. You can hear this sound, and when you get closer to it, you can see Lump hurrying along. And Hweddle, I don't know if Hweddle is like looking around to see if anyone's noticing or what. I'm not sure, but you can definitely see 2 of your friends, and there is a emaciated, nearly naked man with a wizard hat hanging over the shoulder of Lump.
Okay, I fly closer from the back, and then I go like, hey, what are you doing?
It's a bee! A bee! It's a bee! And he starts pounding on your arm. Watch out, the bee!
It's an R.
It's a bee!
It's an R.
It's gonna sting me! Go away.
He's a friend.
Bee.
Don't worry.
All right, we're just making more and more of a scene. I'm just gonna keep guiding us on towards the scholar's house.
Lump, what are you doing?
Taking a dirty man for a bath.
I'm not dirty. I'm clean as a whistle. My mom used to whistle.
Not sure how after washing in horse water you can be more stinky.
That's because I don't belong with the horses. You know what I say to you? I say nay, like a horse says nay. Ha! And he tries to like high five Weddle and misses and hits himself in the head and then starts to cry because he's hit himself in the head. At this point, several urchins, by the way, have sort of like are watching and giggling and pointing. So you've got a little bit of an entourage, Weddle, as you were hurrying along to the Dwarven Scholars Home.
Oh, just Weddle, not the lump carrying.
In other words,
the
this abduction has some
screaming,
witnesses.
crying, sticky man.
Well, I thought that
No.
you were more occupied with the creepy crying sticky man.
So I'm walking at pace. I'm not running because I don't want this to look like a kidnapping.
Right.
Which is
Yeah, a
so
troll
wrong.
holding this old
Yeah.
man saying, "Help me!"
I
Weddle on
always
his
feel
little
like a
legs is definitely
heist.
like running to keep up with an at-pace lump, though.
Oh, I now notice Weddle, and I'm like, did you see that Lump is having a naked human?
Yeah, it's. I'm trying not to ask too many questions.
Why?
Hey.
Yeah,
I have so many questions.
I do
What?
too. Like, why is a bee talking? Oh,
Now,
my
we're not
mom
talking
used
you.
to
It's
talk.
quiet time now. Yeah, and she used to tell you as well, now is quiet time, and then you listen, don't you? When your mammy says it's quiet time, you listen.
Yeah, I do.
Quiet time now. Quiet time now. Yeah, so I found this man, and I think he might know some things about the talismans and whatnot. So I thought I'd take him for a wash and a bit of a scrub up and see if he can tell us more. I know we've already had like 2 run-ins with the talismans, but I need to find one. And you did promise me last time. You did promise me that it's the next time we find a talisman that we can keep it for study. But we haven't found another talisman yet, and I'd kind of like to find another one to study to prove, that it was made by dwarves. So I thought this man would be able to help us. So that's why we're taking him for a bath.
Okay, let's do that.
Excellent.
When you get to the door, because you're pretty close now, when you get to the Dwarven Scholars Home, one of the Dwarven scholars that you've been working with, whose name is Calevis Loreweaver. And when you walk in, Calevis is sitting at a table. One of the things about Calevis is that Calevis keeps a very tight ship, likes to keep things very tidy, and all that stuff. So when you come in, followed by I am curious whether Lump comes in first or whether it's Weddle and then the rest of the crew.
It's Weddle. It's
Okay.
100%. I don't know where I'm going. I'm going to expect Weddle to open doors and stuff, so I don't
Okay.
like splinter wood and stuff like that. So
Weddle's going to come in. He's not going to overly explain. He's just going to be really efficient.
Hello,
And-
Weddle. It's good to
Oh
see
yeah,
you.
I've just got a man coming in for a bath now. Can't chat.
You got a what? You got and then like Lump, and this is not a big house, barely fits in, right. So all of a sudden this man just
I
fits in.
barely fit in not carrying a naked screaming man.
Yeah, the man who's like, oh, because you bang his head, this is her. And Calevis, his eyes get wider and wider as you sort of force your way into the bathroom. You hear a terrifying creak when you get him into the bathroom, by the way. You don't know that the door frame was meant to accommodate a troll plus screaming naked man. And Regina, then you fly in a minute later. So there's this moment where he watches the two of you and he's staring, and then Regina, up there after, and he's sort of so he goes over to the stairs, Weddle, you need any help up there? With anything?
We're helping, no worries.
Yeah, it's all
It didn't
right.
sound like
I got
Weddle.
some friends helping. Sorry, I was rude, wasn't I? The troll's my friend. He's called Lump. The sprite is my other friend, who's called Regina. And you two, the dwarf downstairs, is called Clevis. Good mates. We go way back. Totally chill guy. Not gonna worry.
What is that smell?
About...
What's on earth is that horrific smell that I hear? Who's the man? Did you kidnap someone?
Yes.
No, it's a poet.
Well, that makes it even worse. He should be out of my house. No, he doesn't say that. And he says, "You didn't bring in the wizard, did you? The one that we told you about? You didn't. That's not him, is it?"
I can neither confirm nor deny at this time. Sorry, I can't hear you properly. Swish, 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 splash, splash. Sorry, I can't hear you. Quiet time's over, wizard. Make noise again.
Bubble, bubble, toil and trouble.
Yeah, see, I can't hear you, Clevis.
There's just this like dead silence, and like you have no idea, none of you, what's happening with Clevis, except it definitely involves a lot of eye widening, I would say. So Regina Lumpenhuedel, as you are attending to cleaning up everybody. Yeah, go ahead, Lump.
Quick pause
Yeah, sure.
there. Lump put the man in the bath and left.
Okay.
That's all he was paid to do.
Okay, got it. So Lump would be
So
departing.
he doesn't want to
Lump
help
just
his friend
puts-
with the quest that he promised.
Lump just puts him in the bath. He's like, no more gold, and just walks off. Not enough gold. Not cleaning human.
Regina stays because apparently interesting things are going on here, and she likes to be where the interesting things are.
Excellent.
What was the name of the dwarf downstairs again?
Clevis, lore weaver.
Clevis. So I walk past Clevis, and I assume there's a moment where he looks at me, eyes wide, and I just go, just delivering, and then I leave.
And he kind of, watches you head out the way, Lump, so to speak, while Regina and Huedel, I would say, do their best to attend to this naked drunk man.
Did it without instructions? I'm not doing anything.
No, Huedel's doing the work. Regina, could you,
Yes.
while you're there, could you just hold your spear, and if he tries to leg it out the door, just poke him a bit. Not too much. He's got to stay in this room, all right? He's not leaving.
Just stab him in his not important bits.
I could just, really scream intimidatingly at him.
Yeah,
Then we
that
wouldn't
works
damage
too.
him because
Yeah.
you got him just delivered. You don't want him broken already.
No, that's true. And Huedel, he's going to do his best with towels and soap.
Yeah, definitely a lot of exfoliation would be helpful here. I don't know if you've ever cleaned anything where the classic, several months worth of dirt, type of thing. The tub does not, the city does not usually have totally black water. But by the time we're done, that's pretty much what we've got here. And I want to point out that while he does this, he absolutely refuses, screams wildly when you try to take off his wizard hat. He absolutely shrieks beyond belief, like, ear piercing, will obliterate all glass in a 500-mile radius type of thing. He refuses. So the whole bath takes place with him with his hat on, basically. He's just determined not to lose his hat. But as you are in the process of doing this, and God only knows what Clevis is thinking about, Lump, as you are wandering back towards where you came from, you happen to go right past where Reginald's graveyard is. And Reginald, I would say you're probably out near the road at this point, probably attending to some of the gates that may have been sort of pushed over. This happens every so often, a zombie gets out and they kind of, push down the gate, and it's It's like dealing with unruly cows. You know, you got to get them back into their spot. So you're kind of hammering away, and Lump, you wander by, and there's Reginald, in fact.
I just like to know, in the meantime, I would have been taking care of Boots to raise his loyalty to Max.
Good.
I
I was
was
going
going
to
to
ask about
3,
that.
so
Yep.
yeah, so I have him as 3 out of 3 loyalty now.
Loyalty, love it. Yep,
Because he's the bestest ghost dog.
he is.
And speaking of Boots, that's why I go into the graveyard.
Okay.
Hey, you find Reginald looking into the side of Boots, and you can see like bits of food in there, and he's like, I don't know how it works. I put the food down. You eat the food. It's clearly there. And then later it's gone. You can't digest it. You got no organs.
And he looks up, tilts his head. I guess it would be more like.
He's just happy to be here.
He's been very happy since you got him back.
Yep. Well, let's get this gate back up. He's heaving
I
away.
can help.
Well, Lump, how you doing?
Hello. Sorry about the smell. I had to carry a stinky wizard.
This smell is worse than the dead, Reginald.
I still don't know how we figured out Uncle's sense of smell. Mind you, I do have specialty in it. This is a really bad time for that to be relevant.
Exactly.
Oh, no.
Man, is it sensitive in every respect.
Finally, I got my wish, but it was a monkey's paw. You know what? I'm gonna smell with my smell focus. Sod it.
Okay.
I'm gonna take a whiff when Lump mentions the smell. Like,
You're going to smell
just out of
with
pure
your
reflex. So.
Well, let's see. Do you have the skill? Yes. Do you have a focus in the skill? Yes. I would like you to roll 3d6 plus your aspect. This would be survival, I think. No, aspect. This would be this would definitely be resolve, I think.
Yep.
And then +2, and we're gonna talk about what happens when you smell that.
Okay, so hang on, where's the advanced roll up? There it is.
Hi, I can stress test your system, Talisman Avengers.
3D. Oh, come on, it's being slow. I think this new Zoom update's made my computer a bit laggy. 3d6 plus, that's going to be +8.
Okay.
Jury's out on if this is a good or a bad thing. Oh. Let's see what happens. Oh, wow, that is slow.
Wow. Okay.
Ah!
So you got a 20, and you've got doubles.
So
as well.
I have a great success at smelling this ungodly odor.
So you note some very important things here, Reginald. The first is the great success actually allows you to keep from being overcome and incapacitated temporarily. You note that this is clearly from a human. There's no question that this scent is from a human. An extraordinarily dirty human. You're not sure that even humans that you have interred are quite this dirty. It is some staggering combination of smells. The worst smell that I have ever in my life encountered is the smell of rotting pasta. It is the worst conceivable smell. I do not recommend it to anybody. So if you could combine that with those really smelly fruits sometimes in the late summer that makes this horrible smell, and then combine that with rotting meat, you'll have pretty much an idea. This is horrific. So you know it's a human. The other thing, though, Reginald, which is a little strange to you, is that the smell has, not to put too fine a point on it, an aura of magic about it. It's almost magically stinky, is what I'm saying.
Smells like magic. And human.
Very, very smelly human wizard.
Yeah. At this point, he's almost, but not quite, touching Lump, getting a real good whiff.
Lump's
It's
just leaning back very slightly. He's not quite sure.
And then on his other leg, Boots is having a sniff around his ankle.
He's like, I'm not. He's not 100% sure if Reginald's trying to sniff him or he's gonna bite him. He's not 100% sure. He's like, he knows he's not a zombie, but that's a bit close.
This is the closest he's gotten to anyone.
Yeah.
Boots at one point just sort of shrinks away, having smelled too much. The classic, anyone who's ever had a dog, does the like trying to clear their nostrils from the
Trying to
scent,
get it
right?
out of there.
This type of thing.
Yeah. So Reginald's like, that's a smell, but that's not a smell that's natural. There's magic in that smell.
No, it was not. Anyway,
Where is everyone?
sponge bathing a crazy dirty wizard.
Reginald blinks and then just sort of nods. He's like, It has been a while.
he shrugs at Reginald. It's like,
Not the craziest thing we've ever done.
No. But my graveyard's all right, so I'm starting to feel a bit restless.
Nice
Annoyingly,
place.
that's a new one. I'm usually quite content. I think you're rubbing off on me.
That's the world walking for you. You wander sometimes, and you get a taste for wandering. Then you settle, and you can't sit still. You want to do things, you want to see things. Just happens.
I think I'm starting to see some of that. Oh, about this gate. I say pulling at it with my absolutely skinny, no muscle whatsoever arms, like pipe cleaner arms.
yeah, Lump definitely gives him a hand. He would like to do anything to either take his mind off the smell or to perspire enough so that it sort of washes off him.
When you do
He'd
this, by
rather
the
smell
way,
like sweaty troll.
you do it
Alone.
with practically no. It's like bending a paperclip back, Lump. Like just or the equivalent. Just So Reginald has been just no problem. Just bends it right back into place. And as you can do this, you can hear the sound of delighted laughter and clapping coming from the town square, which is not too distant from here, in which you know that one of the big festival events has been set. And there is some, music playing from it and so on that you can hear.
So Lump is just sort of wandering around as he starts to hear it. He's wandering around. There's not really a lot to do in the graveyard, so he's sort of like brushing a few odd leaves off of a gravestone, and there's some rocks in a formation, but one of them's fallen out of a formation. So he's just like, I'll pick a rock up and put it there. Just general sort of he's trying to make himself look busy and helpful at the same time.
Reginald's noticing this and he's appreciating. He comes over. It's like, did you hear the crowd? There's a festival about to start. One of the biggest in the city.
Quite like festivals.
I'll show you where it is if you like.
Let's go.
Okay. Reginald's going to grab his robe and put his hood up. He's like, I'm still a ghoul. I might have a modicum of respect in town, but I'm still a ghoul.
So as the two of you set out for the town square, I'm going to describe this, then I'm going to jump back to Regina and Weddle and what's going on with your naked wizard friend. The sun is beginning to set as you pass through the city. And as you pass into the town square to see the sights, you can't help but notice the decorations that businesses and city institutions have put up for the festival. The statues in the square of kings have been given heart-shaped necklaces. The traditional gargoyles atop Ozer's magic emporium are decked out in yellow flowers. And the normally drab stone exterior of the jail has been covered in posters drawn by children. And you see unusual groups of people, too, as you enter the town square. Lump, you see, for example, a tribe of trolls, which is unusual to see a group of trolls here together, but they are there, and they actually have themselves, they're wearing some yellow flowers around their neck, which is definitely not something you see most trolls hanging out and doing. There are a troop of jesters as well, who are running around, and they seem to delight everyone but one little girl who runs away crying. I think we can all identify with that girl, by the way, who run away crying from the jesters. But she's quickly comforted by a sweet treat. Many of the festival goers who were there enjoying tarts and strawberries and figs and small cakes and other offerings from food vendors. There are tons of food vendors around. Let me tell you, there's plenty of funnel cakes to be had, plenty of those. Got some apple cider donuts, working out and all that kind of thing. And as you come into the square and sort of like stop just looking around you, a friendly elven boy comes up to both of you and offers a gift to you, Reginald. Holds out what looks like, from what you can tell, it's a pair of socks. At least you think that's what it is. And he hands it out to you. And he says, "My name is Matas. Good to meet you." And he holds out the socks.
Right, yeah, hang on. So let me think. Have a quick look here. Hello, Matas. And I sort of bow and I take the socks. And I'm going to...
And he waits expectantly.
Yeah. So quickly looking through what have I got.
And I give him my
I have
cloak.
this lightning bolt.
I have this lightning bolt.
No.
Wow.
No.
I give you the gift of electricity.
Yeah. Oh, God damn, I'd really... I give him a torch.
Okay. So he takes it and he looks at it and he skips away. Seems very happy. You get a light fate for that, Reginald.
He's going to regift that, I bet.
He skips away. Yes, and in fact, he gets to the edge and immediately hands it to somebody else, who hands him a pair of shoes. Like, you wonder if he's working his way up or like what exactly he's doing. But
so I'll take a moment to explain to Lump the tradition, because I assume, being a local, I would know this isn't a new thing.
Oh yeah,
right. Yeah. So it's like, if a stranger comes up and gives you a gift, you should give them a gift back. Doesn't have to be much. Look, and I hand him the socks.
Oh, thanks.
they might fit on a finger for you, by the way, Lon.
It's more about the act of celebrating by gifting to strangers. It's a nice celebration of life and the way we are all connected.
Okay. So Lump starts sort of like padding his sort of backpack and his little satchel and stuff like that, and starts like rummaging around in his pockets to see if he's got anything else.
It doesn't have to be valuable.
No.
As they say, it's the gesture that counts.
Do you have anything, Lump, for him?
He has some
Technically, I'm not a stranger, though, so...
That's true.
Technically, he has some rations and a length of rope. So what he's going to do is he's going to take a length of rope. He's going to take some of his rope out of his bag, snap a bit off, and then give a length of rope to Reginald.
I'm going to resist the urge to ask you to make a check to, quote, snap off a piece of rope. Like, just like it's dental floss or something, but I will resist.
I mean, he hasn't got anything bladed on him, but I'm hoping that he might be strong enough.
I think that's fine. I'll let that go.
Actually, position it in such a way that he can sort of tear the hemp apart.
I will keep that in mind the next time you tell me that this rope will allow you to safely rappel down a cliff or something like that. But no, you're able to do that and hand it to him with no problem.
A length of rope.
Thank you. And that's basically how it works if someone comes up to you.
Oh, okay. Sounds really nice.
It is.
As you're sort of looking around and seeing this, Regina and Hweddle, you have managed to, I guess Hweddle has managed to get the wizard as clean as is likely to functionally be possible at the moment. This is probably a process, right? Rome was not built, nor was it cleaned in a day. So it's going to take a little longer for this to work. However, having said that, he is now clean, and he's also in the bath snoring loudly, and has been for the last several minutes.
Right, well, the next step would be, now that he's clean, would be to drag him out of the bath and to Hweddle's room, where we can lock him safely inside and go and enjoy the festival for a bit.
Fair enough. You are able to bring him in there with his hat, and when you sort of toss him on the bed, and there's a squishing sound as he's still dripping wet for the most part, and you hear him kind of murmur like, fireball, magic missile, but he's clearly asleep. And so you think you could probably shout in his ear and you wouldn't wake him up. So you can certainly lock him in if you wish. And when you come down the stairs, Weddle and Regina, you see waiting for you is Clevis. And he says, Weddle, we need to have a talk.
Just a note as well that I did leave a spare tunic.
Okay.
For the wizard man. It is a dwarven one, so it might be a bit wide.
It's a crop top,
mini,
basically.
Mini dress, you know?
Okay.
And I left the bottle in there because although I do want him to vaguely sober up, I don't want him to go into withdrawal.
I see.
But otherwise I've locked him in. Okay. Oh, hey, Clevis. Didn't see you there. How's it going?
Exactly what are you thinking about bringing some weird naked drunk man back here with a troll, and then sees you, Regina, is like, and this kind person that you got here.
Oh, you got a very good eye, very kind, and tactically knowledgeable as well. A fierce warrior. Wouldn't want to mess with Regina. Regina.
I have a book.
She has a book.
So, what are you doing with this man? Is that the wizard? That's the drunk one that we told you about. We didn't actually ask you to bring him back to our home, you know.
Well, I wasn't sure where to take him, to be honest. But he's locked in. He's harmless, totally harmless. He's had a wash. I've locked him in.
You locked him in?
I'll leave you. Yeah, well, you can't let him wander off, can I? But I'll leave a couple of pieces of gold now because we are going to have to hire a cleaner to come in for the bathroom.
What happened to the bathroom?
Well, we washed him.
In the bathroom?
Yes.
You didn't use my towels. Oh, you didn't use my towels. And he sort of pushes you to one side and hurries up, heading towards the bathroom.
We didn't dry him. We didn't dry him. He was like completely.
And from upstairs,
wet.
the door closes and you hear, "Huddle!" Like he's like, because he sees this. I don't know if
we're gonna scarper now
Yeah,
while he's upstairs. Let's go to the festival.
Yep. You know what?
I leave a couple of pieces of gold for cleaners on the table.
Humans always cause trouble. You should know that by now.
So, Weddle and Regina, you make your way, I assume, also to the town square and the festival. There are a couple of urchins that occasionally look at you and point, and you wonder if they were some of the same urchins following you when you had the wizard with you. But in any case, that's not the case anymore. There's only a faint, lingering scent odor that's left over. And when you come to the town square, there are a few things to notice. In fact, I have even a map of this for you. You'll all be happy to know. Although I do want to mention that this square at the moment is not filled with all of the peoples that would be there under normal circumstances. You have to imagine this as just absolutely chock full of people. There's a fountain in the middle. There are multiple carts that have been set up and all that. You see all kinds of magical, mysterious things, all kinds of foodstuffs, much more delicious smells than the smell you just left behind about 10 minutes ago, by the way. All sorts of delicious smells. You see a couple of things like Dipping Dots, the ice cream of the future on one of them. You don't know what that means, but there's something there. And there's multiple... Okay, someone in chat from America will get the reference. Anyway, so there's that. There are many. You see also some one cart that sells just pickles. Like there's multiple barrels of pickles, all of which are different, like textures and consistencies and all that kind of stuff, and all that sort of thing. And there's music and just it's very impressive. The whole bit of it is there. And you also happen to see two very familiar figures, and I would say those familiar figures also see you. On one side of the square, you see Reginald and Lump. In fact, let me just pull all of you onto this place here. Let's copy that. Let's bring you on to here like this. So on one, whoops. There we go. Weddle and Regina right there. And then you see Lump and Reginald over there. And you can see that Lump is holding on to and looking sort of with a curious expression at a pair of what look like socks. And you're not really sure why. And Reginald is just sort of looking around. And as I mentioned, colors and just beautiful sights and sounds and music of every description here.
Before we go over, you mentioned pickle stand. So Weddle loves pickles. He's going to quickly grab some pickles.
Okay.
Not make a big deal of it, but he does need to just buy a few bits and bobs of different pickles.
There's like
and then
8
take
different
them over
types.
To Lump.
Yeah, there's like 8 different types. So you want one of each?
He'll probably try like 5 of the types
Okay.
and save 3 for later.
Delicious, by the way. Okay. All right. You bring that over. And as I say, there's all kinds of different foods and meats. There's also, you can see there is what looks like, Reginald, I assume you brought Boots with you. There is actually a living dog that is doing tricks and is basically doing these flips and then jumps through this small flaming hoop that his owner has. And does so safely. There's a small group of people kind of clapping and delighting in that. And a couple of people, they look like sort of young, maybe like teenage boys, and they look like twins, come up to Weddle, come up to you as you're walking along with the pickles. And they say, hello, and they hand over to you what looks like a single egg. They just hand over an egg. Still warm, actually.
Oh, great. Weddle pats down. He's obviously not given up his pickles. Pats down, so what has he got? Looking at my inventory. Gives the person a pair of manacles.
The person stares at the manacles and then thank you, and turns and walks away. You get a light fate for that, despite the nature of the gift, Weddle. So we have let's see, Reginald with 2 now. Sorry, with 3. 3, and we have Weddle with 3 as well. Okay. So you do that. And at this point, as you're making your way over, Regina, are you flying over towards in the direction of Reginald and Lump as well, or?
There's interesting stuff to buy, and I've got an endless haversack. I'm gonna buy stuff and put it in my haversack because I can.
There's a lot of stuff to buy. A lot of stuff. Did you know how many things you can actually, how many stone sculptures are for sale at something like this? All of them are numbered for authenticity. So you buy 1 through 5,
Nah. It's still, that's not interesting.
Okay.
I mean, but I don't know. What would Regina buy? A bag of peanuts because she loves peanuts.
Lots of cosplay weapons. There's lots of LARP weapons, like foam swords and stuff.
She could get a giant axe that is not too heavy for her to carry, so you can just see a flying giant LARP axe.
Super foam.
Yes,
You can carry it with ease because it's foam. So it's not even.
Yes, of course. Yeah. I want a hammer, and I'm gonna. Yeah, that's good. I'm gonna bonk urchins with it, and if there's anything that looks like, I don't know, a golden acorn or stuff, I would also buy that.
Just in case.
Yeah, just in case. So yeah, I would buy several knickknacks and all of that. It's a festival. We're just gonna move 1 square at a time.
That seems very logical. Yeah, there's a lot of that stuff that you're able to do. I will leave it up to you about how much gold you all spend at something like this, but there's plenty of that to be had. And as you're all sort of coming over in the same general direction, you hear coming from the southern edge of this square. So down here, God damn, my mouse, stop! I don't, stop doing whatever you're doing. Okay. So you hear coming from here, down in the southern side here, there is some odd kind of commotion, raised voices. And as you look down there, you can see there are a group of city patrol members that are confronting a tribe of trolls. And one of the trolls is standing over the wreckage of a produce merchant stand. You can tell that because there's a lot of crushed tomatoes and a couple of other nondescript, undefined vegetables that have been smashed into the dust. And the largest troll says, "I said it was an accident." "And I say you're lying. You're all spending the night in jail," screams the city patrol captain. Now, let's sort of just set the scene if we can. There are about 7 of these guards. Let me see if I can pull onto the page thing here. Yep. Okay, that's fine. Yeah, perfect. There we go. So we've got this guy. And then we've got city guard. Copy. Paste. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and one more. Okay, so you've got 6 of these 7, of these city guards. And then you also have at least 6 trolls that are all sitting talking to each other. And many of them, as I mentioned, are sort of draped in these necklaces of yellow flowers. But they all look to be otherwise very troll-like, you know the type, Lump, and are getting increasingly annoyed with the back and forth about whatever's happened to this thing. So let me see if I can pull that out here. Right, troll, and 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay. So they are confronting each other, and it's starting to attract a little bit of a crowd. And you can see that they are, in fact, one of the trolls is actually sitting standing toe to toe with what appears to be the captain of the guard, and they're just sort of screaming at each other. And you can see that both guards and trolls are kind of. You can see their hands sort of drifting back in the general direction of their weapons / clubs, depending on the group that we're talking about.
Lump is going to move over to this part of the fountain, and sort of as he passes Reginald, he's going to say,
Usually avoid other trolls. Wonder what's happening.
If they're shouting at the guards, it's not going to end well. I'm taking a leaf out of Weddle's playbook, and I'm actually standing behind Lump at this point.
What about Regina and the aforementioned Weddle?
They are trying to arrest me, so it's fine. I'll just fly around, bonk people with my giant phone hammer, and then give them a packet of peanuts.
Okay.
Weddle's of 2 minds. He thinks maybe there's something unjust going on here, but he knows that any trouble involving trolls that gets escalated here is going to inevitably, spill over and make things a bit awkward for his mate Lump. So yeah, he's of 2 minds here. I'm not sure that he wants to directly get involved unless things get sketchy.
Okay. It does seem like things are escalating. In fact, one of the guard captain and the largest troll. The largest troll who kind of looms over the captain, who's not intimidated at all. It looks like they are getting close to pushing each other. If you had to guess, Lump.
So I'm assuming this is a fountain, right?
Yes, that's correct.
So I'm keeping the fountain between me and the trolls, but occasionally I'm sort of glancing around it. Do I immediately recognize any of the trolls?
You do not recognize
Not
any
like
of the trolls.
Detailed.
Yep.
Okay.
Nope, you don't recognize them. They do seem to be, you can tell that among the yellow flower necklaces and stuff, that they do have a couple of insignias, like tribal insignias, tattooed on their left shoulders, each of them. So you're pretty sure that they are themselves all a tribe of trolls, but you don't recognize any of them.
Okay.
And the one
Let me
is
turn
now
to
saying, "Get out of my face!" And he's like points a big finger in the guard captain, who kind of steps back a step, and you can see like immediately, shing, a bunch of weapons come out from the guards.
It never ends well when this happens. Some people just don't like trolls. Don't want things to get ugly, but don't. Not my fight.
I'm telling you, you're coming to jail with me, and that's the end of it. I'm telling you to get out of my face, or I'll put you through the jail and every wall next to it. And a couple of, and they kind of point out. And of course, now there's also a crowd that was already there is starting to gather around this circle, like in a circle around these people. Meanwhile, Regina bonks another kid on the head with the phone thing and gives him something.
Yeah, Lump is just keeping the fountain between him and the trolls. That's kind of, he's not charging in. He's not. There's no sort of. Reginald can definitely see that Lump wants to de-escalate the situation, but there's definitely something holding him back.
I don't think we can stand by and watch this racially charged situation happen. So Hweddle will, it's alright. Lump doesn't need to follow, just like it's okay. And just sort of saunter over there and just be like, hey, come on now, friends. It seems like, there's been an accident here and there's no need to make a scene now. Everyone's enjoying the festival. Let's all just have a nice time now. Enjoy the festival.
And the captain turns towards you and says, and what right do you have to interfere with city business? And the large troll that was just poking him in the chest says, yeah, we can handle ourselves, see? Unless you want to be the next one to go through the wall of the jail. And kind of elbows a couple of the troll friends. You can see, by the way, now that you're up here, Hweddle, that a lot of the trolls and a lot of the guards don't look super pumped up about like trying to fight each other. You get the impression that the big two, the biggest troll and the captain, are the ones who seem to be steering this ship.
Hey, look now, you want to be big man, troll, and that's all fine, but the rest of us are trying to enjoy the festival. And yeah, I get it. It's city business, but the festival is city business, and you're going to cause a scene. And I'm just trying to eat some pickles, and you're kind of ruining my vibe, to be honest. So let's just chill out.
I think that sounds like a persuasion check to me.
Can Reginald assist by walking up as Hweddle's speaking
Sure.
and handing a torch to both the guard and the troll?
Oh, like a one on it. Okay. Come on, people, now.
One for you,
Fly
one
on your
for you.
brother. Yep. Okay, so you hand a torch to each of them, and a couple of people are just like, oh, I heard that was the ghoul. The ghoul who covers the cemetery. I didn't know. Okay, so yes, I would like then that assist will actually work, I think. So I would like. Oh, go ahead, Regina.
If I feel, or if Regina in all her intelligence feels that either bonking or peanuts or both might help the situation, she is totally willing to do that.
You're not sure that bonking would probably be the key focal point at this moment, given that they're already willing to bonk each other with real weapons. But sure, peanuts, that might be able to work. So let's say that we get a +3 for this. So then, Hweddle, the question is, do you have persuasion, I guess would be the first question.
I do.
Do you have a focus in it? And I think here would be... trying to think what the focus point would be.
That's an amazing face, Bruce.
That is funny. Oh, man.
Like your immediate change.
This is
when you thought I was looking
negotiation.
at you.
This sounds like to me. I think. Don't you think? Is it?
It sounds like negotiation to me for sure.
So-
Huddle is
Sounds
going to negotiate the heck out of this situation with his focus in negotiation.
So this is going to be 3d6 plus aspect, which is going to be insight. Plus 2, not plus 2, plus 5, because you're getting 3 from the assist from Regina and Reginald. So 3d6 aspect plus 5. This is Weddle's moment.
All right. So the aspect is insight, but because Hweddle's got the charming words special ability, it allows him to use wits or resolve instead. So I would like to use my resolve.
Even better. Absolutely.
And then plus 5. Can I please use a light fate to roll an extra die?
Yes. Yes, you may. You got an extra one for giving a gift, which was what is it you gave? Wow. Okay. So 2 plus 2. So you're going to drop one of those, I assume. Although this is interesting. 2, 4, 6, 12, 17. Yeah. So you could drop that 6, and if that is enough to get you there, then if the rest of the numbers are enough to get you there, then that could be a great success. Extraordinary success, actually.
Oh, should I risk it for a biscuit? Do I get rid of a 2 or do I get rid of a 6?
I don't
I'm gonna say drop the 6.
All right, I dropped the 6.
You've already got a plus 6, so
you sort of lay this out for them, and they say, they sort of look at each other, and then one of the smaller ones, in fact, sort of a teenage troll, if you had to guess, the youngest of them, says, well, come on, Juma. You know you said to us that we don't want to fight for no reason. You said that that's what the trolls are, that's their reputation. That's not right. You know that we're not supposed to fight all the time. It's just a festival. And so Juma kind of looks and glares, and then a couple of the other trolls are like, kind of whisper with each other, and then Juma says, well, it depends on what he has to say, and points at the captain. And the captain sort of stares back, and then Daphne, who you note, Hweddle, with some satisfaction, is a dwarf woman, to be clear. You need a dwarf to talk sense into these situations. Daphne says, you know that they're right there, Santiago. If we get into a fight with these here in the streets, how exactly are we doing what we're supposed to? And besides that, fighting's against the spirit of the festival now, just like you said. And they sort of look at you, and then Santiago, well, you may be right. It's possible that I'm a little wound too tightly. Perhaps we could work together here to rebuild this merchant's stand. And the Juma says, well, all right. Maybe I shouldn't have swung my arm quite so wide anyway. All right, let's put this thing together. So the people around are all just sort of like looking and whispering as the produce stand is put back together, though sadly there is no recovering the tomatoes. Side note, the Game Master is happy that there's no solving the tomatoes because tomatoes are terrible. Anyway, I don't like tomatoes. But of course, but there are other things that I would be very sad to lose. Like, I mean, you know, like stepping on, like losing peppers and all that. That'd be bad. It is a very spicy take indeed. So they put the thing back together, actually not too far off, although can't do all of it. And one of the trolls pays a couple of coins to the produce merchant, who has been well away from the action during this entire time, by the way, to sort of pay for the lost produce. And then both trolls and guards thank you, Hweddle. And as everyone is about to leave, you notice that the youngest troll, Eridan, comes over and introduces himself to you, Hweddle, and says, hey, I wanted to say, thank you. That was really good. Sometimes Juma, he's not a bad guy, but he just gets really angry, and he's protective of us, you know? But that was nice. My name's Eridan, by the way. What's your name? Oh, and then he reaches back and he hands you a piece of what looks like smashed tomato. Apparently doesn't have anything else to offer. It's pre-squeezed, and hands it over to you.
Thank you, Edison. And couldn't have done it without you. It was very brave of you in that moment. As easy as for me as an outsider to come in and try and calm down the situation, but at the end of the day, you were the one who, the first to speak up within the group and help to calm things down. You seem like a very level-headed young person. And he's like looking around. He's already given his manacles, so he's just like,
thanks.
Gives a tinder box.
So gives the tinder box.
Entry.
Oh, thank you, and then says, is that a Kruth?
You very discerning eye there. Why, yes, it is a Kruth. Does not offer to let the guy hold it, but you can look.
Oh yeah, I play a little music sometimes. I'm well, and he kind of looks around. He's clearly like keeps looking at the other trolls who are still sort of occupied talking about the event that just happened. And he says, then he drops his voice. He says, so I actually I write songs sometimes.
Do you
now?
Would you just give me one moment, please?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Just turns around. Right, yes, well, that's that sorted. So you write songs, so fancy yourself maybe a bit of a up and coming minstrel, do you?
Well, I'm sure I'm not as good as you are. I can only imagine, but yeah, I actually I made my own lute. I know it's not the same thing as a Kruth. No one would ever make that mistake. But I know that I made my own, and well, I've been playing some songs, but I have to do it way out away from the village because they don't like it when I. But I'm really not bad. I'm not one of those stereotypes of like a troll that isn't very thinks that there's. Really, I'm pretty good, I think. I'm gonna get there, but you see, I don't have anyone to do like counterpart and harmony and some of it, like I'm not sure if I really understand that the sort of the circle of fifths. And then he just proceeds to go through Weddle like straight up dead on music theory, like more than you would know, just like talking about diminished and about like, do you think augmented chords have gotten too much use in today's pop music of the city? And, all that stuff like is like clearly knows what they're talking about on some level. At least they're really, really doing a good job at pretending to know.
Yeah. Well, now I'll tell you straight up, my scholarly training has been more in the history, and I've come to the minstrel profession from a more practical standpoint. So I think, I'd really admire your knowledge and your knowledge of the terminology and the more academic side of music. But if you ever wanted to chat or to play together or anything like that, really, I'm very open. And I already have a friend who's a troll. You see him over there on the other side of the fountain. He's called Lump. He's a world walker.
Oh, wow. He must have all kinds of material. Well, are you not from the city? Have you all, you adventured? Because I know that dwarves are obviously the best musicians. Everybody knows that. That's obvious. The best musicians, the best explorers. So you must have, gone everywhere and seen everything. And written songs about it.
Oh yes, certainly. Oh. I've written some excellent songs about our adventures.
Look, and he, gets very... He's like, listen, they're going to be in town for a while. Would you mind if I just sort of... hung out a bit? I just want to hear the music. I want to hear songs. I'm not bad in a fight. But also I can do harmonies, and you could play some chords and I could play some chords, and then we would both be playing chords. That would be double the chords, like, I mean, that's a lot. And I've never actually had double the chords because nobody else ever, mostly people just throw rocks at my head when I try to, at least my tribe does. But this is different. I mean, look, well, and suddenly coming from somewhere behind him, and you don't know where this came from, he pulls out this long, thin, rather rough-looking lute. And with 3 strings. It's kind of not, the whole thing is not looked the way normally a lute would, but whatever. And he says, so I was thinking that one way to do it would be something like this. And then from the side of this thing, he pulls out what looks like a tube that you would blow into. And he puts one end of it in his mouth and he starts playing the lute. And he goes, do you feel like I do? Ooh, like this. And he starts playing this good time, good time, good time. And he starts doing this thing, and it's actually really good, Pweddle, like surprisingly good, like not at all what you would have expected. And he can play, from what you can tell. And he says,
I've already been convinced for the last 10 minutes. I'm taking this kid on as a follower. He is mine. No one's allowed to have him. He can't go back to his people.
His name, by the way, is Urodin. His last name is Frampton. He tells you don't know what that means, but I will give you some information about him, some statistics, because he does indeed want to be your follower. Quick side note, chat. This is what an extraordinary success gets you, in case anyone was curious. So here is the deal. First of all, here are the benefits. So if you spend a loyalty, and they're going to start, I believe, with 3 loyalty? No. Yes, 3 loyalty. They have a maximum loyalty of 5, but they start with 3. You can add, if you spend a loyalty with your follower, you can add this Adolescent Troll strength score to your damage from one successful attack. So they have a strength of 2. They also are a forager and a good hunter. So if you spend a loyalty, you can get a bonus die when you're making a hunting test. They have strength 2. They have craft 2. They have life 12. And they have armor 2. They're wearing a leather tunic. As I said, they have a max loyalty of 5. Once per day, you may restore 1 loyalty for this follower, but not, to be clear, by feeding them treats as if they were some kind of pet. Instead, you can restore a loyalty by taking, and it basically takes about an hour to do this, a jam session, where you're basically just jamming out with them and playing chords. And if you do that, you will restore 1 loyalty for every jam session that you get. But Eredin is exceedingly eager to please.
Excellent. I've written Eredin Frampton space precious bean. Yeah, I'm gonna take. Do I need to talk to his elders in
you
the
could
tribe?
you could if you wish. Eredin is like an adolescent who could theoretically go his own way, but they might want to know, what you're doing with their troll.
Yeah. Can I just quickly just let them know? I've just met your lovely young troll, and I was wondering, I need some help out and about in the city while I'm here, and he's offered to accompany me. Is that all right? I'm not weird.
And Juma, who is the leader, is the largest one, says, "Oh, well, that's all right. You're gonna take him then and listen to him doing that music of his. That's fine, I suppose. Just we're gonna be leaving here in 2 weeks. In the meantime, he can go around with you, but let's make sure he don't get into trouble, and make sure that he." And he kind of lowers his voice not very well, and he says, "Maybe if you could teach him what good music is, I don't understand what they're doing. It used to be back in the day, it was just about strong beats, Now it's about some weird thing. Why does he have to blow in a tube to play his... It's weird. Anyway, if you could talk some sense into him, I'd be grateful. This is all loud enough that most people within a half a mile radius could have heard him speak, by the way. So Aridin kind of hangs his head a little bit as he hears Juma speaking.
Well, we've all got our own musical tastes, and I'm more traditional myself, but we've got to let the younger generation to move forward with the art. I think what he does sounds fine. But we'll see. It might be that listening to more traditional arts, he might incorporate that and go back a little bit to things that are more traditional, or might not. I can't really, do things that would affect the natural progression of his artistic talent. But I can definitely promise to keep him out of trouble for 2 weeks. Looks over shoulder, winks.
And Aridin, nods. And Juma kind of like, as you were going through things about like all this stuff, is kind of like, right, all right, well, yeah, that's fine. Just have him meet us back here in 2 weeks, and make sure you're back by then, or we're going to leave you behind, Aridin. And you behave and all that. And he turns back and says, and thank you for that problem with the guard all there. We appreciate it. Don't want to get in any fights. And then he sort of gets this look as if he's ready to sneeze, and then it turns out instead what he's doing is he's pulling this strange piece of scrap metal from one of the pockets of his tunic, and he says, well, here. Oh, well, all right, come on, you lot. And all of them take out pieces of scrap metal so they can give each one of you a piece of this scrap metal.
How many of them are there?
There are, that's true. There's 6, so they give, I guess, 4 of them, and then a couple of them give their things to the guards who give them these weird looks. So 4 of the 6 give these things.
I'll give them a sheet of paper each.
Okay. So they hold the paper, and I love the idea that they're holding like paper, flowers, like a whole bunch of things. They're like, yeah, right. And the Juma says, city people are strange. And then they sort of nod in your direction and wander off, as do the guards. And the crowd, which you must say seems slightly disappointed that they're not going to get to see a fight.
Right, I'll head back to the group then and be like, hey everyone, this is our new friend, Aridin.
Hi.
I bonk him and then I give him peanuts.
Oh. So you
Greetings,
bonk him and then he
Aridin.
takes the peanuts. He's like, yeah, and he kind of looks helplessly at Hweddle. What do I do with this?
Tit.
I eat it. So he puts in the entire peanut with shell. Like, oh,
So-
great, thanks.
So, if this is a new one, can we now get rid of the dirty human?
No, we're keeping him.
That doesn't seem to be responsible to get so many pets in one day.
He's not a pet. He's a up and coming troll musician, a minstrel of the future generation.
Yeah, Aaron Frampton. Hi.
This is Regina. This is Reginald, not to be confused
Hello.
with Regina.
Hi.
And this is Lump, not to be confused with Reginald. And this is Boots.
Hello.
Hi. And he says to Lump, I hope I'm not gonna I hope everything's okay if I play some music. The other trolls don't like it when I do that, but maybe it's okay. Maybe.
Oh yeah, these lots are used to it. It's always music.
I like music. Been friends with Weds for a long time.
Gets this
See?
big grin on his face. Oh, that's excellent. Oh, that's so great. Boy, am I lucky that you came and here and showed up. That's amazing. Everyone said that there was the Festival of Strangers could be really dangerous and weird things were going to happen. That old lady said that, but I knew that it would be fine. Yeah, I'm glad I met all of you. It's pretty good. There's a song that it goes like I want you to show me the way every day, and then he starts blowing in the tube. I want, and again, sounds pretty good. Although a lot of the people in the city look oddly at this picture of a troll playing music, but it's It's pretty good, as the kids say. It's kind of lit.
Nice. And Queddle takes out his Kruth and is just like, because it just plays chords, so it's actually kind of a good accompaniment, and he's just playing along like chords that seem to match.
Yeah. Lead guitar and rhythm cruth, as it were. Lead lute and rhythm cruth. Which leads me to the question of what is the party doing for the next few hours as this time is happening? Like, where are you folks going to head next? I'm
immediately asking our new troll friend, what old lady?
And he's like, he's in the middle of a riff, like, burr, 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 burr. Oh, yeah, and he spits the tube out, and he says, oh yeah, well, it was nothing. There was this weird old crone down one of the streets that we came who said something about beware the midnight moon, or nonsense like that. I don't know. I'm sure it was just they wanted us to spend some money so we could hear how we're all doomed and how things are going to be in a bad way in the city and all that stuff. That's not how it works. It's the Festival of Strangers. I thought she was just trolling us, not trolling because we're, but like, you're right. That's what I thought. I'm sure it's nothing. It was just silly. I mean, obviously, it couldn't have gone better. I found all of you. Yeah. Seems like big grin, super happy.
Lump just looks over to the rest of the party with one raised eyebrow.
Don't look at me. Everything's going great. Found the wizard, gave him a bath, locked him in the room. Everything's going all according to plan.
You kidnap wizards? Yes, you can. Just a second. You kidnap wizards?
Only on Tuesdays.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
We don't make a habit of it.
Okay. All right. I'll try to remember. And you can see him surreptitiously scribble down. Easy for me to say. Surreptitiously scribble down in a journal that he has of some kind, some note. He does this quite a bit, like notes about people around him. You also see there's a bunch of like roughly drawn music staves, with like notes and riffs and chord structures and guitar tabs on there and stuff like that.
Regina eyes him suspiciously, like, don't write anything down about me. I don't like it.
Oh, okay. All right. And he starts writing, don't write down anything about
What are you doing?
Nothing. Nothing. I just, not at all. No.
Queddle, he is being suspicious. Stop him.
Now, they're Aradin. No being suspicious.
Yes.
And I lean over and look, and I go, oh, it's not about you, Regina. It's about Reginald. It's all fine.
Okay. I bonk Reginald and give him peanuts. Unless, if Reginald tries to avoid, Regina will not force you to be bonked, but otherwise you're going to be bonked.
Reginald's like kind of distant at the moment. Yeah, he takes the peanuts, but it's just kind of like an automatic response. Because he's currently racking his brains to see why the midnight moon sounds familiar. Or rather,
Regina is not good. Regina is not good at reading people, so she also doesn't understand what Lump look isn't meant to be, and also ponks Lump and gives him peanuts.
I'd take the peanuts.
Wonderful. If anybody if nothing interesting happens, this is what Regina is going to do for the night: bonking people, distributing peanuts, and then maybe getting drunk as well.
Never gets old.
If interesting things happen, she wants to be there.
I'm going to offer Regina half a ration because that's all I've got.
You're running out of things to give people.
Yeah.
Reginald, you said you wanted to do some kind of a lore check?
Yeah. Like, beware the midnight moon sounds very specific. It might be something druids might know of. Maybe it's a ritual or some kind of natural spell or natural occurrence when something might occur.
Let's have you... Let's have you make a history check for me, please.
Ouch. Okay.
Or rather, let me rephrase. A lore check, but the focus would be in history.
Okay, yeah, no, I've got ancestry only, so that's just going to be no +2 for me. I'll also spend my shiny bonus light fate.
Yep.
Don't get to say that very often in this game.
Yep.
That's to make it a 4d6.
Okay, that sounds like a plan.
Okay, so it's going to be law. Is that wits?
So that would be wits, yes.
Okay,
So 3d6 plus wits. Be the.
that's d20. God damn it!
I was gonna say like
Baldur's
wow.
Gate, get out of here!
40, 20 plus 5. I was like, wow, it's an incredible score.
Actually, that was a terrible roll for 4d20.
That's actually true, yeah.
Okay.
Interesting.
Well, we have to keep the 2. I'll drop the 6. I might know something, I might not.
Yeah, you do know that there are certain times of the year, and the Festival of Strangers sometimes corresponds with this. This is very much like, I guess the equivalent would be, so Christmas worldwide is pretty much held December 25th every year, right? But for certain places, Easter, for example, in the Christian faith moves around, and there are examples like this as well. The Festival of Strangers typically is supposed to happen something like 1 month after the last midsummer, which means we're looking at like late summer, early fall type of thing. Coincidentally, I can't imagine why I'd be bringing that up right now, but late summer, early fall. And every so often it does happen to synchronize, let's say, with a what is called the night moon, where the moon itself becomes quite dark and it is said can be fringed in red. In more superstitious days, this was seen as very inauspicious and claimed to be like, this is when the boogeyman of, the night would come out. But obviously that's for a more suspicious time. But it's very unusual for the festival to fall exactly on the same day of a night moon. Only happens very rarely. But this does indeed happen to be a night where the night moon will be in sync with the Festival of Strangers.
Okay. No, I don't think there's anything to alarm anyone over there, really. It seems perfectly fine. Unusual moons, nothing bad ever happens from
Nothing
that.
bad ever happens with that.
No.
It's fine. I'm sure it's fine.
So Regina's going to be bonking people in the head. Go ahead, Lump.
Yeah, Lump's just going to wander around and just be handing out like half bits of ration to people who offer him things.
Okay. What about Hweddle and Reginald?
Oh, Weddle's just like chatting music with his new BFF. His new second favorite troll. Like Lump's always going to be number 1, but is a very is climbing to a very close second favorite troll. Not that he even has a third favorite troll, but yeah.
He tells you how great your lyric sensibilities are, Hweddle. Like just like you really.
Yeah, I just need someone to follow along, feed my ego.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just like and about like just sort of like the absolute perfection of the strumming pattern as well, like just that kind of thing. So what about you, Reginald?
Reginald's just in a puddle on the floor.
Since Reginald kind of brought Lump to the party, and though Lump does seem to be embracing the proceedings, he also seems a bit uncomfortable and out of his depth from sort of watching him. So Reginald's going to sort of stick with Lump to make sure he doesn't get confused about anything or end up make sure he's all right.
Okay.
Yes, I'm looking out for the troll. What?
So several hours pass in this way with again, and even as it gets towards nighttime and it grows dark, there are that's when the real fun begins. People are, you have people juggling flaming torches, and you have like rings and wheels of fire that people are doing. These little children run through the streets holding aloft these things that you think are called maybe sparklers, like, shooting sparks into the air as they run. And there's little, like little firecracker things. And everyone seems to be having a great, just a great time. A lot of people wander through, singing loudly songs. I would say that Lump and Hweddle and Regina get some unfortunate memories of, someone who was drunk and trying to sing earlier on. and stuff like that. And this all continues for a while, and then probably about, as I say, maybe about 2 hours later, there's plenty of food as well. Like, you know, it's just a lot of fun. It's also a really beautiful night in terms of temperature. It's not too hot, not too cold. But you notice after a couple of hours, as you're getting on towards very late, maybe towards, you know, midnight even, that you can see above you that this reddish outlined sphere in the sky is rising, and it's obviously the night moon that's been previously discussed. And you see a few people kind of ooh-ah and pointing out at it. Hweddle behind you, Eridan, is singing something like, "I'll see you at the dark side of the moon," you know, making up some new songs about it, and so on. As this is going along, I would like, let me see. I would like everyone, please, to make notice tests for me, please. This is going to be wits is the aspect. So,
okay. Smell focus, yes or no?
Spell focus?
Smell focus.
Smell focus.
I
No,
have
no, no.
noticed with smell
No,
focus.
this is about sound, not smell.
I am still going to use another Blight Fate because we're late in the session now, I think. And use them or lose them.
Okay. Logical.
So that's going to be a +5 again for me. Woof,
All right, so
Bruce.
Bruce with the
Quite a
15. Okay. I think Regina's maybe too busy bashing people in the head and giving them peanuts. Although you do get a light fate, right, from that.
I'm dropping I'll drop my
the-
3.
What's the aspect for it?
Aspect would be wits.
Wits. Thank you. Pat. Counterbalance that light fate, you get a duck.
Okay. So Regina
Exactly
and
the same numbers.
Regina and Lump. Oh, but that is a dark fate for me. That's good.
Yeah.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Regina and Lump, you are probably too occupied, I would say, in sort of, you know, a combination of bumping, you know, bashing each other with these foam sword in Regina's case, and then giving people peanuts. Lump now is bedecked in every conceivable kind of cheap to make necklace, beads, flowers, rat skulls, like every kind of thing you can imagine. Like just it's Mardi Gras, y'all. I mean, like it's there, right? So there's all that. So I don't think either of you probably noticed this. Hweddle, somewhere in between the chord plays and you know, and sounds of like I have become comfortably numb from Eridan and all that. Somewhere in between there, you hear the sound, this odd sound, and it's the sound of glass breaking. And at first you don't think anything of it because you're like, okay, well, it's a festival. But then you notice that it's not just glass breaking. First of all, it doesn't stop. And secondly, you hear the sound of what sounds like rocks banging into each other or bonking or falling on top of each other, like as if not glass, but stone in some way is being broken or crumbling somehow. And you kind of get, it's sort of like partially you hear it and you're not sure if it's that or if it's maybe just you've been playing chords for too long or something. And the only one who hears this really authentically, I would say, is Reginald. Because Reginald, from behind you at one point, as you're sort of, again, you also have a ton of these like gifts and other people. You can see one little boy who's clearly up way past his bedtime and should have been in bed already. But his very tired eyes suddenly widen, and he points up behind you, and you hear that same breaking sound that I just described to Hweddle. And Reginald, if you look around behind you, you can see on the top of the Magic Emporium the gargoyles that are there, and you're like, okay. But then you notice that the gargoyles are not seated like this anymore. They're standing. Not only are they standing, they're looking in your direction. And one of them, with its wings, and then takes off into the air.
Reginald is going to shout, "We got trouble."
Literally, Reginald says that just in time for all hell to break loose. Suddenly, there are screams and shouts from everywhere as gargoyles of every description fly from the rooftops and from elsewhere. There's a lot of gargoyles in the city, and they are awake and they are attacking. Let's fire up a little bit of combat music. We probably won't get through all of this combat today, but it'll be a good place for us to start the next time when we join us. So let me fire up a bit of this combat music here with, I clearly need to work on getting some, let's go with all this. I need to get some gargoyle combat music, obviously. Okay. All right, so there are, let's see. Also, those of you who are now seeing this, I would like you to make one other lore test for me, please. This is, you all know that they're gargoyles, but I want to know how much about them you actually would know. So this is a lore test, and wits would be the aspect.
Okay. Do they smell any particular way?
They do not enough to make it as part of your notice test. Smell like
lore
rock.
one of those skills that you need in order to use?
So for a lore test, I think you do need to be, I do think you need to be trained in it for it to matter.
Yeah, I definitely.
Yep.
I was tempted to say, Saber, that can you smell what the rock is cooking? There was something there that wasn't quite, but...
Yeah, I'm a little distracted, I think, to be drawing on specific gargoyle knowledge.
Yeah, that actually, although I appreciate the light fates from everybody, but that actually is, believe it or not, that actually is a success. And same thing with not, however, Regina, and not Lump, but Reginald and even Hweddle are able to know a little bit.
Oh, just for your awareness, I didn't actually roll. That was the previous roll.
Oh, I beg your pardon.
I don't have lore, so I didn't
Oh, that's right. You
roll.
couldn't roll it anyway. Okay, that's right.
Yeah, I couldn't roll.
So it would have been
only Reginald and Bruce.
Reginald Bruce. Okay.
And,
Okay. So, yes. So, gargoyles. You do know some things about gargoyles that can become important. Give me just 1 second here whilst I find the details about them. That's what I thought. Okay. So, you know that gargoyles are, first of all, statues that are in popular culture believed to ward off spirits because of their frightening appearance. But there are spellcasters which create these winged humanoids from living rock, and they use magic to infuse them with kind of a semblance of life. You don't, however, remember having this many gargoyles come alive and do this. So either spellcasters have been incredibly busy doing work in the city for, decades, or there's something else which has happened magically to bring these statues to life. They are very tough. Obviously, they have strong armor because they have skin of stone. And you know that they can do some serious damage because they can also fly. And they can be dangerous threats as a result. But you don't know any of the sort of finer details about specific weaknesses and things like that. Those things escape you. But the basic idea of gargoyles and the fact that this is not the way that gargoyles normally operate indicates there's something strange going on. I'm sure you will be most happy to know. Okay. Now, first of all, I should say that you could theoretically run for cover and just, lead the guard to handle this, but I'm assuming you're not going to want to do that. Presumably.
how many gargoyles are we talking? Are we talking like...
Where did we leave that group of trolls as well?
Exactly, they are gone.
Single-digit number.
So what I would say about that is that if you were going to engage these gargoyles, this is kind of an abstraction of what is happening across the city. So if you engage the gargoyles here, you will be dealing with 3 of these gargoyles, and that 3 is multiplied by however many regions there are in the city. So what you're dealing with, lots of other people are dealing with as well, but you only can deal with what you can deal with right now. Unless, of course, you want to split the party and send one of each of you in each direction. I mean, that's, totally your call. But assuming not, then it's going to be the 4 of you plus your followers. against the 3 gargoyles here, and then you'll have to see what happens later on. You don't have to engage them, but there are a lot of them flying around, and you can hear shouts and screams and breaking sounds elsewhere in the city. So clearly, this is not just confined to the town square.
Do I have time to put my new bonk hammer into my haversack?
Yes, I would say so.
Okay, wonderful. Well, I didn't really see what's going on, right? Because I failed like all the tests.
Yes, I would say that when we actually get to the combat thing, which we're going to talk about here, that you're going to be like, why? Why are we getting ready to fight? You know, from all of this.
Well,
yeah.
You can always assume that like Reginald's literally relaying the information as it's occurring to him, just as train of thought. So he's like, gargoyles.
Oh,
Too many of them.
Okay, fair enough then.
yeah,
way too
very
strong.
ugly. Yeah, should put them on houses. What are you talking about?
Flying rock monsters.
Oh, and I put like my bonk hammer away and pull my spear out.
Time for the real.
Quaddle's gonna like, hit Aradin on the arm like, oh ha ha,
And he's like,
your first adventure's starting here, kiddo.
all right. Oh wow, gargoyles. All right, well that is pretty metal. And he hits this bow and then puts the thing away, and then draws. And as he's putting the loot away, you look closely, Weddle, and you see him start to put the thing away, and you think he's going to grab a weapon. But then what he does is he literally takes the loot and goes and he like hard like this, and it folds. And suddenly you realize the end of the loot has become a highly functional club. And he's now holding it. And he's saying, all right, I'm ready to go. He does not look frightened at all. I mean, he looks a little, excited, but certainly not like he's going to run away. Okay, so
I like this kid.
You all know the drill. Now what we have to do is decide, first of all, in terms of like position. Now, one problem that you are going to have with this is that these things are flying. That's not going to be a problem for Regina, but for the rest of you, that's going to be an issue. So how do you want to try to go about combating these things as they fly around? Again, there were 3 of them.
Oh, if only I had something that knocks enemies down when it hits them.
Fair enough. You're going to try for gust of wind. They may be less susceptible to it. It's possible, Reginald, because of their stone makeup. You don't know. It's conceivable.
Yeah. Well, actually, that was the funny thought. My serious thought is probably Reginald would be trying to get people undercover.
Yeah, because there's panic
before
in the whole square. Panic.
So he'll be trying to get people towards houses, doors, anywhere where they're going to get out of the way, because they're up in the sky. They're going to drop. They are going to drop like a literal stone on someone.
Yep.
And that's not going to be good.
Yep.
I would like to use my tactician thing, spend a light phase, roll 3 dice, and then I can use them in combat to switch stuff out. Okay, I'll do that.
All right, sounds like a plan. So let's talk about who goes when, in what order, and what you're going to do. Who wants to go first and manage these things?
Got a 4, 5, and a 1.
Okay. Could I look back at the party, look over to Weddle and Reginald and say,
you get the ground, we'll get the air.
And I look over to Regina and I take out my potion of flight that I've had in my bag.
Let's go.
A campaign and a half. And I pop the cork and I drink it.
Flying troll, let's go. The flying troll gargoyle battle commences.
And can Quaddle, before he's out of reach, slap a cloak of shadows on him?
I would imagine. Well, as far as order is concerned, yes, I would think so. If you go first, Weddle, you can.
Regina looks at the other, because when it comes to plans, she sometimes needs a bit of advice, and asks, shall I try to put a rope on them so we can hold them like balloons? Not on Lump, but on the gargoyle.
Might be a little heavy. If it falls, you fall with it.
No. tie it on it, and I let go of the rope. Rope drops down, and somebody can yank.
Might work.
Quaddle doesn't have very much strength and would not want to be holding the rope. So he
I've got
stays
much-
silent.
Well, then not. And I take out a second spear.
Okay. So besides Weddle having to go before Lump because of the Cloak of Shadows, what is the order that everyone's going to go in then? Like, Regina, yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, for Reginald, first and last makes sense. Like, first for clearing the field for people probably makes sense a little bit.
Okay.
Pulling people out of danger before we start throwing things
Okay.
indiscriminately into the sky.
Also, quick note, Reginald, you can do that, but there are probably a couple of hundred people here. It's going to take you can try to do that, but I'm not telling you not to do it. Be aware that you'll only be able to clear a small area around you. Otherwise, you're going to spend the whole combat basically doing that because people are running every which way. And in fact, some of the merchants even are like trying to like in a rainstorm, trying to batten down like the stand, except this is a storm of gargoyles, not rain. So they're trying to do that as well. So yes, you can do that, but just be aware that you'll only be able to clear a little bit of a space around you. It may end up benefiting though if you remind me that you've done that. So you're going first to do that then, Reginald? If
I'll go
correctly?
first to just direct people towards nearby doors. Just get in there.
Okay.
Batten down the hatches. Push bookcases up against the windows.
Okay. That sounds good. What about we have Huedel before Lump, but we also have Regina. So is Regina next, or?
Yeah, why not? Regina just goes for the direct approach, attack on the nearest gargoyle.
Okay.
Nobody has told her anything else, so that's what's gonna happen.
Are you going to be doing this in an attempt to bring the gargoyle down, or an attempt to just like fight straight up normally?
Apparently, there was no interest in bringing the gargoyles down, so I'm just gonna fight it normally.
Okay.
That doesn't mean you couldn't still do it if you wanted to.
There was nothing in my tactician book about this, so direct attack it is.
So, okay, Reginald,
There's
then
no
Regina,
part about gargoyles.
then Huedel with the Cloak of Shadows, and then Lump. Yes? Does that all make sense? Okay.
Think so.
All right, let's start then with Reginald first. Okay, so Reginald, you are going to be attempting to get people to go underground. So I think actually what I'm going to ask you to do here is I'm going to ask you to do a...
Got an idea. Boots is going to lead people to safety.
Okay.
Follow the dog.
Follow the dog. Okay. I still think you're going to need to do a skill check to see if you can convince those people, since they're a little freaked out. Follow the ghost dog. Ah! They're just freaked out about everything. So, but I think I am going to have you attempt to persuade. Or I guess theoretically you could persuade. Well, we'll talk about the persuasion part first. So, you're going to be attempting to persuade. This is, I would say, either negotiation or fast talk.
Nope. Don't even have persuade.
It probably isn't a very high persuasion, but it is something you're going to have to at least do it a little bit. So, not having the
4d6.
skill, that would just mean 3d6.
I'm going to use my last light fate.
Okay? That's what I like to hear. I mean, okay.
Oh, well, I don't use my last light fate, and I'll drop that too.
Okay, so it means we're talking to 15. Yeah. So you tell them this, and they kind of like sort of stare at you, and then a couple of people are like, one of them's like, "Well, you heard him," and they sort of push after Boots, who kind of yaps, "Yep, yep," and goes running off towards one of these stands. Probably. Did you specify a particular place to go, or just like any port
I was
in a
thinking
storm?
probably this here, because there's it looks like the stone construction, so big strong house.
Over in this spot. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. So you can push them off in that direction. And in fact, I can't believe I haven't put this up here, but I should probably put up this. Okay. I'm going to put up this here. Almost. Okay, there we go. Yeah, there we go. Mm-hmm. 1,
This is a fight I'm going to be invested in.
2.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was wondering exactly when that was gonna come. I only watched like the first 3 episodes of that, but at least I've seen some of it now. At least I know a little bit of the connection. Okay, right.
I don't understand that reference.
Oh, gargoyles.
Disney's Gargoyles,
Oh, okay. Go.
Oh,
which had like half of Star Trek on it.
Yeah.
that was like a long time ago. I watched that as a kid.
God, yeah. I used to have action
And I
films.
liked it.
My goodness.
Yep, I saw it like
It was really good.
I missed it the first time, and then I saw it like maybe 3-4 years ago. I watched a few episodes of it. It was pretty good. Okay. And wasn't Dave Filoni involved in that? And Filoni is the guy who does all the Star Wars. I want to say that Filoni did Gargoyles. Maybe somebody in chat can tell me. I thought that some famous person that does other famous stuff now was part of that as well. But maybe. Anyway, so Reginald, you managed to do that. You haven't engaged one of the gargoyles yet. There's 3 of them. You may not need to engage them. It depends on what the other people are going to do. But I'm going to put you then over, or I would recommend you move over here, kind of in that general direction, because that's where you're asking people to go. Yeah. Okay. Right. Okay. Next up is Regina. As you can see, you have a target-rich environment of gargoyles. So, who would you like it to be?
Just the closest one.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to use one of those handy-dandy light fates, dark fates rather, that you were also kind of give me, to increase the threat of this thing.
Okay. You do that.
And okay. Noted. All right. Sounds good. So I'm all set when you are.
Okay. So let's see. My attack bonus is agility because of oh god. Does attack also take 3d6? It does, right? Because I haven't done this in a long time.
Mm-hmm.
So it's 3d6 plus agility plus 2 because I've got to focus on my spears.
That's right. That's right. Yes. Correct to all.
So let's see. I'm wielding it. This is just more damage because I'm wielding it. This is also more damage. Okay, so that is completely correct what I said.
I
So
didn't know
3d6.
Jonathan Frakes was a voice in the Gargoyles series. That isn't what I was even thinking of. I didn't know that. That's awesome. Okay, sorry, on you go.
Okay, 21, and I'm gonna. That's a question now, whether the 20 is enough, because I do have a 4, so I could put a 4 in and go down to 20, and hope it hits for a what is extraordinary success, or I put another 5 in. I think I'm gonna put another 5 in, so I go up to 22 with 2 5s.
That is in fact a success, and because it is 2 5s, it means that your attack is a complete success. So you inflict full damage, and your opponent does not get an action. They do, however, have this very tough armor, as you know, so that's going to be part of the mix.
I wrote a standard success or better, so I'm gonna spend a light fate for a mighty blow.
Okay.
And reduce the enemy's armor by 3 points.
Okay.
I'm just gonna need to delete the light fate. And I also wrote a great success while attacking with 2 weapons. So I add my agility to my main weapon's damage.
Okay.
That means I do 1d6 plus 9, and also 1d6 plus 9. That is correct.
Okay. So go ahead and roll and see what you get.
Click. 15.
Okay.
Maximum damage.
So, good news is the bad news is that the armor absorbs most of this. Believe it or not. The good news, though, is that you have obliterated its armor now. And it does take some damage on top of that. So with this mighty blow, a bunch of stone rains down, and a couple of people like have to shield their head as like, rock rains down from the skies. But you do successfully damage it. It does not look like it's close to destruction yet, but you have definitely damaged it, and you've broken through its armor. So...
Awesome. I would like to imagine that Regina just flies up there with her 2 spears and goes at it like a woodpecker, like...
I love that.
like you're carving ice or something. Like...
Yes! Just like that.
0. Okay, I want to make sure I'm marking down what everybody has. Okay, and armor. Okay, great. All right, good stuff, Regina. That brings us to next up was Hweddle, who I believe had a shadows thing. Is that a bone? Is that a full action to cast that, or is it a free action?
No, it's a free action
Okay.
to match a set difficulty of 11.
Okay, so let us have you make your spell casting test then.
Right. He'll have to run over to where Lump is, and he'll touch him and cast it. So let's have a look. Craft.
Okay, so we have multiple ones, but I think actually for the spellcasting test, Cloak of Shadows, I don't think...
You said the difficulty was 11.
Yeah, difficulty is 11, so that's fine.
Yeah.
So you successfully do that. So the target will get half damage from ranged or melee attacks until the start of your next turn. And having done that now, Hweddle, one of the gargoyles has been hit hard and is hurt a little. The other 2 are basically fresh. So since you still have an action left, do you have a spell that you wish to do or something else? Dive into the fountain.
Oh, can you do the equivalent of casting a spell as your main action and a bonus action?
Oh, I guess that's true. You would have already done the spell for that. Yeah, I don't think you can do... No, actually. When you cast a spell as a full action, that's the only action you can take except for movement. But for a free action, unless I'm missing something, it looks like that you could cast a second spell, because the spell would be taking up a full action. So, because the other spell you took was a free action, not a full action. So I think you could actually do a spell that was, if you wish to, as I'm looking at it.
Yeah, all right. I might as well throw a lightning bolt up in the air. I've got somebody to impress.
Yeah, they're also playing like, very much like Tenacious D, other ones like, this is just a tribute to Hweddle's combat. Okay. So, all right. So the difficulty, which you don't know what it's going to be yet, the difficulty is going to be the threat of this creature. I have upped the threat a little bit, And you're going to be making your spellcasting test to be able to do this.
Can I use a light face fate to turn it from a success to a better success? That's a thing.
I don't remember if we said. I think that sounds right. I think that is correct, but I just want to double check quickly.
I believe you can.
So
what page is on.
Right now, what we're looking at is a standard success. So you want to change it to a great success, if that is correct.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Showing off a bit,
no, right. I mean, I can't imagine why. It seems to be logical. Okay. So, with a great success, full effect with no side effects. So it is just the power of the lightning bolt strikes this creature. I should have asked you before who you were zapping. Is it the one that Regina is fighting, or another one?
Yeah, the already damaged one.
Got it. I figured as much, but okay. So now you can roll your damage for the lightning bolt. Which is I'm trying to find.
1d6 plus craft.
Yep.
1d6 plus my craft is 6. 10 damages.
Wow. Well, it helps that armor was completely slammed before because of that mighty blow. So basically, Regina just slams it, and then as the armor sloughs off, just blow it the hell out of the air. And
he wants to turn as it's blown and just look at his new follower. So
as the stone rains down behind you,
around him. He's just gonna give him a smug look.
And then
this is just a regular Tuesday.
He's just like, oh, and then he like his club starts doing purple rain. Is it's just falling.
Some bits just like
rock is falling. I was about to make a nothing compares to you, but that's incredibly disrespectful to the sadly just departed Sinead O'Connor, so I won't do that. But it was the first thing I considered. It would have actually been just intended to be awesome, not even joking around. Good stuff out of Weddle, and that leads us with Lump. Lump, there are 2 of these gargoyles left that you can see in your vicinity, and after this, we're going to wrap for this one round, and then we'll pick it up in the middle of the combat next time. So after they've had a chance to fight back, if there's anyone left to fight back.
Cool. So yes, I immediately quaff the potion, or have quaffed the potion. I start to feel a tingle, and I'm starting to levitate and kind of find my bearings with flight. So I immediately Superman both fists towards the second gargoyle and try and just spear it completely.
Okay.
Obviously using a light fate because I've only got one, and it's near the end of the session to do heedless. So I basically take full damage, and then if I perform a successful attack, I get to add more damage. But if I fail, I don't take another attack, if that makes sense.
It makes sense. Also, in my headcanon on this is that you are acting as the Blanca ball from Street Fighter 6. I mean, it looks like you already, and so, you know, just straight up towards the creature.
Absolutely.
And it is heedless. Okay. Yes. So go ahead and make a...
I think I take damage first, though I'm not 100% sure. Let me just double check. I have the PDF, but it's not easy to scroll. Heedless. Talks to myself. Heedless, come on. I'm certain I take damage first. I think that's how we've done it in the past.
I think that's probably right.
Yes.
But I'm looking for...
It's in the
special ability, 108.
warrior special abilities.
Page 108.
108. Oh, I was so close. I was on 101.
Spend light fate. Let a creature
just
attack
checked.
deal its combat as if you rolled a failure on your attack test. Okay. All right.
Page 108, 109.
Thank you.
Yep. Okay, so you're going to take the damage first. All right.
Yep.
So it hits you with one of its stone axes.
Mm-hmm.
It is going to inflict 9 damage on you. Now, your armor will pick up 3 of that. So you know the drill. You mark one of them, and then you cross out one of them, and you mark off the rest just with a single slash.
Is that affected by Cloak of Shadows?
Oh, yes, that's right.
Yeah.
It might.
Because this is a sweet, sweet combo, my friend.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Well, that's true. So they have to be able to... That's right. Cloak of Shadows.
I still find it kind of funny that Regina has Tactician and Lump has Heedless.
Yep.
Because these are the skills that are like, because people in chat might not have the rule book. So if you have Heedless, you cannot take Tactician. If you have Tactician, you cannot take Heedless. There are a lot of, if you level up, there are a lot of these combinations of skills, features you can take that are like opposite and that you can only take one of.
You can go down one skill path. It's just really nice that we've taken opposite skill paths.
That's
even though
right.
We didn't plan it.
Halved. So
yeah,
you're only going to
we're
take
both
5.
warriors, so
So only 5 points then, Mike. So Lump is going to
5
take is down to
points.
7 out of 12 armor. And again, first one is crossed off. The other ones are slashed. But your
Is
armor
it-
absorbs the rest of it.
Sorry
so.
to be pedantic. Is it 7 or is it 10 out of 15? Because I've got an extra armor for the helmet, the shiny helmet you gave me.
Oh, the Myrmidon helm. Well,
yeah, it gives me +3 on it.
yeah, because I know you told me you hadn't looked at it. So
Oh, that's right. Sorry.
yeah, but remind me next time that you can wear it
Yeah,
and
unequipped. Yeah,
put it
yeah.
on. So, but for now, I would
7.
say no because of that.
Totally fine. Totally fine.
So 7.
I think because it
out
was
of
on
12.
this bit of paper, I was like,
Yeah, no, I
"Surely
get
I'm
it.
wearing it.
I get it. No, definitely you should the next time because that one I think just fit to whatever you needed it to do, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
okay, so 7 out of 12 armor for this one for the moment.
Yep.
Now you can level your attack against the thing.
Yep, absolutely. Add my brawn. Apologies for this.
Is it a bird? Is it a plane? No, it's lump.
No, it's a lump. Lump.
Yeah, the gargoyles each holding stone axes. In fact, they have 2 of the stone axes.
That's a terrible roll.
That
That's a
is
terrible roll.
not going to hit. That is a failure, I am sorry to say. Now,
Just zoom straight past them.
yeah, the interesting thing is, okay, so as if you rolled a failure. So in a way, the failure doesn't lead to any extra damage because you already took
No,
the
it
damage
says that.
from it.
It says that on the book, on the page. It says if your attack test is if your attack test is a failure, you suffer no additional damage.
Right. Yep. So yeah, you just basically. I mean, listen. When's the last time you
Hey, I've
flew
never flown
as a
before.
troll? I mean, like this
Exactly,
is
right?
a whole.
Exactly.
So you just miss as you go past, and and down from below, you can hear like the sound of just being like. You start hearing the sound of the crow and the butterfly, and Aridin has decided to start chanting some more music up in your direction to inspire all of you. Okay, so as we come around to the beginning of the round, when we next reconvene, chat, there are 2 gargoyles left to be dealt with. And you have a flying troll. You have the always flying Regina. You have Hweddle, who just lightning bolted one of them to death. And you have as well Reginald, who has just gotten the people under under cover, so to speak, and now is going to be trying to deal with the gargoyles that remain, while you have your very own musical expert known as Aridin Frampton, who's going to be providing a soundtrack to this magic ability. So I am very excited to see what happens next time, but we are going to bring our session to a close because we can't go way over. But fairly productive, I would say, despite that. We got fairly well into this by introducing the city and by introducing what they were doing with it. We still have, of course, Naked Wizard to deal with and all that, but that will be happening in our next session as we figure out what is part of this Nightmare Invasion. But at least we've had component number 1 of the Nightmare Invasion. We'll see how long that lasts. I'm excited for this adventure because I think it's a good, varied group of things, and I'm excited to see how this wonderful group of players does with it. I'll start with Bruce, as always, starting on the bottom, working up. It was awesome to see Hweddle do their work, and you got your very own groupie now, I think, which has to be pretty good. Or the side man, to be able to play rhythm guitar, or vice versa, you playing rhythm guitar for them. So we got a chance to actually see a little bit more of Hweddle's musical ability, and that all happened because of the extraordinary success that you had in convincing the trolls and the guards not to fight each other on the streets. So that was pretty badass, I would say. Putting that all together, that was a good thing. Now you've got Aridin, and now you just have some flying gargoyles to deal with, which I'm sure is fine. How'd you feel about today, and where will Bruce, the fine folks, see you next?
Yeah, no, I'm really excited for the continuance of this already quite chaotic campaign. Like, it's only been a few hours and we've already got like a drunken wizard that's still just locked away in my
Exactly.
in not even my house, in someone else's house. Yeah, I feel like, the last times that we've had Lump as with the shadow cloak has already been really cool, but
Yep.
now he's flying. It's just an extra
Flying
level.
shadow troll, yeah.
Yeah, I did promise, or I did think to myself, I'm gonna have a really quiet session today, and I'm not gonna like go all chatty and whatever because I've got my ears aching. And I
Yeah.
was like, I'll just keep it chill. I am incapable of chill. I'm just like, there's like a 3.5 second silence. I'm going to talk for 5 minutes now. But no, it was really, really fun. You will find me next at our next Talisman Adventures session, unless you are trying to write a book, in which case you're welcome to come along to any of the many writing meetups that I host every week.
Yeah, you are now you were the absolute leader of the meetups. I feel like it's all about the meetups that you put forward. So that is good stuff. And I should ask quickly, how is your writing going with those? Since I know you're not just meeting them up with everyone else, how is your writing going?
Yeah, it's good. I had a book that I completed and edited, beta readers, etc.
Nice.
Felt it was ready, queried some literary agents, got some form rejections, had a sad phase, and then I've picked myself back up and talked to some actual people who have successfully queried before, and they're helping me out to make a better query package. And I'm feeling really positive that I can make my book better and stronger. So it's good.
Yeah, that's awesome, and yeah, that's totally the way to do it. So I have no doubt it will work out in the end. Thank you, Bruce, and feel better. I'm so sorry about the ear infection thing. Moving right up the line, we got to see the return of the flying lump, or I guess the emergence of the flying lump, not the return of the flying lump. First of all, I loved the idea of like the whole wizard thing, and then Hweddle hiring you, and then walking out while Lump continued to ignore Hweddle, being like, "Oh, that's fine. No, just leave. That's fine. I can help you, but I can do all this stuff." It was very funny to see all that, and what we ended up with was Lump having to sort of connect with Reginald, connect with the people around him, and then all of a sudden gargoyles. So now we have the flying cloak of shadowed trolls. So we had a little bit of combat at the very end, and we'll have more to begin next session. And then we also had the having to pick a guy up and bring a dirty, naked, smelly guy into your friend's roommate's house. So everything should be fine. How'd you feel about today's session? Where will the fine folks find you next?
Yeah, I felt really good. It's not the weirdest thing Lump has ever done for money, to be to be honest enough. He's had some pretty weird jobs. But as always, I'm absolutely so excited to play the next session of this. I'm just like, I want to fight more. I want to be the missile that goes through at least one of these gargoyles. I'm so gutted that I missed that last attack.
Would have been great.
One of them, I swear. Yeah, I'll get one of them. Superman straight through them. But yeah, I absolutely love this campaign. Love all of you. Love playing this game, and it just, I don't know, it tops up my soul to play it with you people. But otherwise, where can you find me next? I'm streaming tomorrow. We're going to be playing horror games tomorrow night. I'm going to be playing Garten of Banban 4 on my channel. That's just come out. I say just come out. It came out about a week and a half ago. But we've played 1, 2, and 3, which is equal parts spooky and disturbingly unsettling because it's based in a kid's kindergarten. So yeah, join me on twitch.tv/Peripheral if you enjoy that sort of thing. And if not, then don't. That's okay.
Then don't, and it's fine. Thanks, Mike. Always a pleasure. We will see you back here for more Talisman Adventures and for Ghost of Saltmarsh. Moving right on up the line, Saber, Reginald obviously had an interesting session, both with sorting the grave, with figuring out what was going on with the graveyard. I actually wasn't sure what you were going to do when you brought up the fact that there was a little bit of restlessness. I really avoided saying the restless dead because, I mean, that's not the case. You're alive. But the idea that there is, you, as you said, it sort of rubbed off on you, the need for adventuring as well, and not just, staying all nice and cozy in your graveyard. And then having to deal with all of the people around you and figuring out something about the idea that the gargoyles are acting strangely, the whole bit. And now we're going to get a chance to see Reginald in combat action again as soon as we have him move away from saving the civilians, which is always an important thing to do. Be nice if the Avengers ever thought about doing that. But it was nice that you considered that yourself. How did you feel about today's session? Where will the fine folks find you next?
I can honestly say my face straight up hurts from how much smiling and laughing I've done tonight. So a big win all around. It has been a lot of fun. I mean, the wizard section alone, I was glad I wasn't involved because I just got to sit back and laugh and not have to actually be involved in the madness. So I think I got the best part out of all of that ringside seat.
Mm-hmm.
So that was significantly a lot of fun. That first gargoyle went down surprisingly quick, which was reassuring, but I'm still concerned because I've encountered gargoyles in a number of different games and systems, and they're never nice. They're
Yeah.
never nice. Gargoyles always suck.
Big smash. But a lot of people were burning Light Fate like they were going out of style. The next time it's going to be the beginning of the session where you have to burn your Light Fate.
Well, you get filled up to a minimum level after every session. So when you're like, oh, we finish in about half an hour.
Oh, no.
Light Fate.
Very good call to do it. Absolutely. Just don't expect the ease of the Light Fate enhanced.
Oh, no.
Steroids will wear off eventually.
But yeah, well, I'm looking forward to this. Looking forward to Ghosts of Saltmarsh. Obviously, I'm going to be filling my time with Baldur's Gate 3 when I'm not on stream, but I'll be on stream again tomorrow here on the GOG channel. Probably going to continue with Divinity 2, I think, because I had a lot of fun revisiting that the other week. Say, hey, look, Larry had made games before Divinity Original Sin, and they were fun. Very fun.
Back in the day.
Back in the day.
Very awesome.
Good old game.
That's right. Yes, exactly. Aha, I see what you did there. Good stuff, Saber, as always. Thank you again for Move Button Dashboard and all that. And I will see you for Saltmarsh and Talisman next month. And moving right on up the line, last but certainly not least, Pyron, good stuff from Regina as well. I was really loving the idea of you being this kind of like a LARP cosplay foam sword wielding person who bopped people in the head and then gave them a peanut. That sounds like about sort of like just generally what that sounds like what Regina would just do in general, like hit on the head and then give a peanut to somebody. That sounds about like the sum total of Regina's personality is sort of those things. And of course, Regina has the benefit of not needing a potion to do it, being able to fly. So rather than having to worry about ranged weapons or spells or anything like that, Regina is able to do that. And yes, your mighty blow, solid hit, followed up by the lightning bolt was a good way to bring them down. If you want to do that on every turn, mighty blow followed by lightning bolts, I mean that definitely is going to do a lot of damage to gargoyles. At least the ones that you fought so far. But we will see. There is obviously much more, many more things and mysteries where that came from. How'd you feel about today's session? Where will the fine folks find you next?
I love today's session. It was wonderful, and I didn't know when the fine people will see me next. I don't think we have dates for our next RPG sessions for September yet.
Yep.
There was some thinking about doing another Barony multiplayer once we have figured out how the Direct Connect works now. There's also maybe another game, if it comes to GOG, that we could even get 8-bit for a multiplayer in. So that is a lot of exciting things. I also am a very big fan of Divinity 2 Ego Draconis, which Saber is going to play tomorrow. So I might just hang out and chat if I find the time then. So yeah, you just see me around somewhere, somehow.
Very cool. And I am excited to see that. Boy, Barony with 8-bit would be a lot of fun. And shout out also to 8-bit for being able to get me the code for Outer Worlds, which I played on my channel using GOG earlier today. So thank you to 8-bit for doing that. Thank you most of all, though, to these wonderful players. Chat, can we get some love for all of the amazing players? Thank you to Pyron J, to Darksaber2K, to Peripheral Mike, and to Undeveloped Bruce. Again, Bruce, give your dogs a pet and feel better. And I will see all of you lovely folks back here for either Saltmarsh and or Talisman Adventures coming soon. Bye for now.
Bye.
All right. And that, folks, is going to do it for us for today. Whoops, hold on. That wasn't what I wanted to do. I wanted to do that. That is going to do it for us for today. Really, really a lot of fun. And again, for those of you who missed it, this is the beginning of the final adventure of Talisman Adventures. The Nightmare Invasion will be the last one that we'll be doing because Pegasus Spila is no longer sponsoring it because they don't have the license for it anymore. So when we're done with this, that's going to be it. And then we will be consolidating everything into Ghosts of Saltmarsh. We'll be doing Ghosts of Saltmarsh then twice a month instead of once a month. So, but it's a little bittersweet because I really have had a lot of fun with Talisman Adventures and playing with this group of players, with this group of characters. So that's been a lot of fun. But I think it will be a good rousing conclusion, I should say, to the experience of this. So I'm very excited for that as time goes on over the next few months. If you like what you saw and heard today, I hope you will follow us here on GogCom's Twitch channel. I hope you will subscribe to us here on GogCom's Twitch channel, as several of you did today. And I hope you will consider clicking through and checking out our own subsystems and Patreons and stuff like that as well, because we all have those, and all of that would be much appreciated. As for me, I am going to be out of here for now. I will be back on my own channel later on this week on Friday for Valorword. If you like this actual play and you wanted to see me as a player and not just the DM or GM, can I recommend you check out on my channel Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern, Valorword Court of Blades, where I get to play a swashbuckling bravo. Think a lot of Inigo Montoya, basically, in that portrayal. And that has actually been nominated and won multiple WebFest awards now. So it really seems to have resonated with people, which is great. That's going to be happening as part of my Speculate podcast that I co-host with Brandon O'Brien and Michael R. Underwood on my channel at 8 p.m. Eastern. And then on Saturday, I am going to be doing a special album release. If you've heard any of the music on this channel, specifically relating to my song Yellow Wood, that is from my band The Road. And my band's fourth album, Exodus, is just going to be released on Saturday. So I'm going to be doing a special release party. I will be revealing the full cover. There you go. That's as much as you get. I'll be revealing the full cover then, and I will also be playing through all of the tracks, and all of the musicians, myself, Zach Clay, and Michael Bruce, who's the guitarist, will all be in my channel's chat talking to everybody about each of the songs. And then we might even do a little bit of Styx, Master of Shadows, after that release party is done. We'll show you where you can buy the album and all that kind of stuff. So that's going to be on my channel on Saturday. And then next Tuesday, I will be here on GogCom's Twitch channel again at noon Eastern for Pen and Pixels with the last session of the Bookwalker Thief of Tales, after which I'll be moving back into Solasta. I'll do the DLC, the last DLC for Solasta, and when that's done, I may end up switching over to The Outer Worlds, because I really enjoyed that today on my channel, and I think I might want to play it over here, even though Saber played it on this channel several years ago, but I have a feeling they would still let me do it, so we will see. But that is going to do it for me for now. Kilgore is going to be here in about 2.5 hours with some Shogo Mobile Armor Divisions. You should definitely make sure that you stick around for that. But otherwise, I will see you folks back on my channel on Friday. Thank you again for following the channel. Thank you for subscribing to the channel. And thank you for clicking through and checking out our individual subsystems and Patreons and stuff like that. And in particular, special thanks to my players today who did an amazing, awesome job with Talisman Adventures. More Talisman Adventures and Ghosts of Saltmarsh to come next month. But that's it for now. I'll see you folks down the line. And until then, everyone, please be good to each other and have a good night.